My farmer dad is secretly an Archmage. Eden and Garrett, 20 years of silence. Growing heart review and analysis. Growing heart. Garrett receives the confirmation he has long awaited, and instead of joy, a focused intensity settles over him. His measured response shows discipline and purpose, as every movement signals readiness rather than surprise. He methodically prepares, checking what must be checked, aware that what lies ahead will test more than courage. Meanwhile, Eden Thorne lives under the guise of a simple farmer, moving through his daily routine with quiet control, blending into the calm rhythm of rural life. Yet his serenity is fragile, a deliberate shield to protect stability, not an escape from responsibility. This fragile peace shatters when demons attack, turning the ordinary world into chaos. Eden's calm transforms into urgent action. He warns those around him of the approaching celestial trinity and guides them toward the inner sanctum, prioritizing survival over secrecy. Using a precise magical seal, he temporarily halts the demons, buying time without seeking dominance. Amid the crisis, his attention turns to Garrett, urging him to stay safe, showing that every decision balances responsibility, protection, and experience. The scene underscores the tension between chosen peace and unavoidable duty, with preparedness and restraint as central virtues against sudden, overwhelming danger. The demons press relentlessly against Eden's seal, heightening the urgency of every passing moment. His role is not to fight for victory but to delay, using endurance and precision rather than spectacle, highlighting that survival requires measured sacrifice. Eden's warning of the approaching celestial trinity elevates the stakes, reflecting his understanding of threats shaped by past experience. He directs those around him toward the inner sanctum, a prepared refuge, emphasizing preservation over pride. Activating citadel protection, Eden fortifies the location with defensive magic that slows destruction without promising safety, demonstrating restraint and responsibility as central to his character. Meanwhile, high-ranking mages known as Celestia deliberate over the crisis, their discussion focused on strategy, balance, and the fragile continuity of the kingdom. The contrast between Eden's immediate, protective action and Celestia's broader, strategic planning underscores the dual nature of responsibility. Local defense and overarching leadership must align to prevent catastrophe. Eden's sustained barrier provides a critical window for coordinated response, showing that true strength lies in foresight, measured risk, and the willingness to bear danger so others may endure. Eden maintains citadel protection with unwavering focus, each moment the barrier holds reinforcing the immediacy of the threat. His calm endurance conveys readiness to sustain effort as long as necessary, complementing Celestia's deliberations rather than being overshadowed by them. Together, their actions depict a kingdom under pressure, where preservation depends on coordinated effort across different scales. Eden secures the present through defensive magic, while Celestia strategizes for the future, both bound by the same existential danger. The assembled mages confront the limits of their power with sober clarity, recognizing that the Dark Lord's advancing army cannot be defeated by strength alone. They acknowledge his ancient, soul-consuming nature, understanding that conventional tactics will fail against an enemy who gains power through destruction. Pride and hierarchy give way to survival, and their unity underscores the severity of the crisis. Eden's barrier creates a temporary safeguard, emphasizing that endurance, judgment, and coordinated action are essential. While the Dark Lord's relentless nature defines the stakes, showing that true defense relies on measured, sustained effort rather than brute force. The mages recognize that confronting the Dark Lord's army directly only strengthens the force they aim to stop, redefining the nature of the conflict. Victory cannot rely on persistence alone, because time benefits the Dark Lord, and every prolonged battle amplifies his power. Their understanding replaces fear with calculated awareness, as they grasp the mechanics of his threat. The army is dangerous not merely due to size or discipline, but because it channels his will, making each unit an extension of his strength. Slowing or scattering them does not reduce the underlying danger, for the Dark Lord's hunger drives the battlefield itself. Admitting they cannot defeat him head-on reflects responsibility rather than weakness. It demands honest assessment, strategic adaptation, and survival-focused choices that may defy tradition. His power is cumulative and patient, enduring across generations, and the mages acknowledge that past underestimations have led to disaster. This clarity underscores that their authority depends on facing reality without embellishment, highlighting that careful judgment, restraint, and recognition of inevitable forces are essential in responding to an enemy whose strength grows with every misstep. The mages approach the crisis with measured clarity, understanding that the Dark Lord's soul-feeding nature transforms conventional heroism into a liability. Every life lost strengthens him, making preservation both a moral and strategic necessity. Previous defenses, barriers, protections, fortifications, cannot address the root problem, and head-on confrontation only empowers the enemy. Their discussion is calm, focused on consequences rather than emotion, recognizing that survival requires disruption and restraint over reckless engagement. Amid this realization, the mages identify a single figure capable of meaningful intervention, the Oracle Mentor, their teacher, who sealed the Dark Lord 20 years ago. The Mentor's long absence is not abandonment but a deliberate act to maintain the seal, reflecting immense personal sacrifice. Calling upon the Oracle Mentor is not an appeal to strength alone, but to foresight, experience, and insight beyond the mage's collective reach. The seal stands as proof of the Mentor's capacity and the cost of wielding such power. This acknowledgement reframes hope with restraint, emphasizing that only through the Mentor's intervention can the cycle of destruction be broken. The situation underscores the kingdom's fragility, the Dark Lord's relentless growth, and the exceptional responsibility carried by a single individual who embodies wisdom, endurance, and deliberate action. The mages respond with measured restraint, their silence heavy with the weight of history rather than impulsive reaction. No immediate orders or demands arise, only a collective acknowledgement of the gravity before them. They comprehend that locating the Oracle Mentor after 20 years of deliberate concealment is fraught with difficulty, and persuading that figure to intervene requires more than urgent pleas. It demands a full understanding of the reasons behind the Mentor's absence and the inherent risks of undoing such carefully maintained isolation. The decision to remain hidden was purposeful, a choice rooted in vigilance and the long-term management of threats beyond ordinary perception. The Dark Lord's resurgence casts a sharper light on this necessity. What was once contained now threatens to breach its bounds, demonstrating that past victories were neither complete nor final. The Mentor's silence is not ignorance or neglect but a form of ongoing guardianship, executed from the shadows and beyond immediate view. This realization transforms the mages' perspective, deepening both their respect and the weight of responsibility they now shoulder. They begin to grasp that the Mentor's hidden oversight has likely influenced events in ways unseen, sustaining a delicate balance that has preserved the kingdom through decades. Every choice now must reckon with this unseen stewardship, for any misstep could disrupt the careful equilibrium the Mentor has maintained. The urgency of the Dark Lord's return intertwines with the wisdom of the Oracle Mentor's absence, creating a tension that is strategic as much as emotional. The mages' restraint, tempered by reverence and awareness, reflects their understanding that haste or force alone cannot compel the Mentor's intervention. Insight, patience, and acknowledgement of past sacrifice are essential. They recognize that summoning the Oracle Mentor is not merely a matter of desperation but a step that demands humility and precise timing, honoring the principles and foresight that have preserved life against an otherwise unstoppable threat. In this recognition, the mages reconcile the necessity of action with the responsibility of understanding, acknowledging that their role is to act in alignment with the Mentor's strategy rather than attempt to override it. This dynamic reframes the crisis. It is not only the Dark Lord's return that poses danger, but the consequences of misjudging the wisdom embedded in decades of hidden guardianship. The mages' awareness of the Mentor's unseen influence transforms their approach from reactive to measured, as they calculate each move with an understanding that history, patience, and discretion hold as much weight as raw power. In this tension between urgency and respect, they find a path forward defined by cooperation with the legacy of the Oracle Mentor, rather than by impulsive initiative. Every word and decision is now filtered through the lens of this recognition, where the Mentor's past choices guide present action and the stakes of the Dark Lord's resurgence frame the necessity of precise, informed intervention. The mages' contemplation underscores the interplay of patience and vigilance, showing that true wisdom in confronting such a threat lies not in immediate display of strength but in understanding and honoring the systems of protection established long before the current crisis. Their respect for the Oracle Mentor's foresight and sacrifice tempers their urgency, channeling concern into strategic readiness rather than impulsive movement. As they deliberate, the mages reconcile the dual imperatives of honoring the past and addressing present peril, acknowledging that only through alignment with the Mentor's long-term vision can the kingdom hope to withstand the Dark Lord's renewed assault. The 20-year concealment is interpreted not as absence but as active preservation, a continuous intervention operating subtly yet effectively. The mages internalize the implication that their current actions must complement, rather than disrupt, this hidden oversight, recognizing that the balance maintained by the Mentor is delicate and easily compromised. The understanding fosters both humility and clarity, intervention must be guided by insight and deference, rather than raw determination or pride. The narrative tension emerges from this intricate interplay of respect, strategy, and urgency, highlighting that true leadership and survival require acknowledgement of forces operating beyond immediate perception. The Dark Lord's threat is imminent, yet it is measured against the unseen but enduring influence of the Oracle Mentor, whose decades of vigilance provide both a framework and a warning. In grappling with the implications of the Mentor's absence and the Dark Lord's resurgence, the mages confront a multidimensional challenge where timing, understanding, and alignment with historical wisdom become as critical as any display of magical force. Their shared pause evolves into a strategic reflection, considering not only the steps necessary to locate and enlist the Oracle Mentor but also how to act without undermining the careful equilibrium maintained over decades. This reflection reveals a profound awareness. The kingdom's survival hinges on harmonizing immediate response with long-term foresight, acknowledging that every decision carries weight far beyond the immediate moment. The mages' deliberation embodies the intersection of respect for experience, recognition of sacrifice, and the pressing demands of an extraordinary threat. In recognizing that the Oracle Mentor's absence has been an active form of protection, they recalibrate their understanding of agency, urgency, and strategy. Their approach emphasizes subtlety, patience, and alignment with the Mentor's enduring oversight, demonstrating that effective action against the Dark Lord requires insight as much as power. The narrative captures a moment where contemplation, reverence, and calculated decision-making converge, illustrating that the highest stakes demand both humility before precedent and precision in action. The mages, understanding that the Mentor's hidden vigilance continues to shape the realm, frames their strategy, reminding them that survival is secured not solely by confrontation but through measured collaboration with the wisdom preserved across generations. In this context, the Dark Lord's renewed threat and the Oracle Mentor's deliberate concealment combine to define a scenario where restraint, respect, and informed initiative are paramount. Each step, each choice, is now weighed against the accumulated knowledge and sacrifice of the Oracle Mentor, demonstrating that true defense is as much about alignment with enduring wisdom as it is about immediate power. This intricate interplay between past foresight and present urgency forms the core of their response, underscoring that only through careful, informed action aligned with the Mentor's legacy can the kingdom hope to withstand the returning menace. The mages settle into a shared understanding, their realization shaped by restraint and clarity rather than panic. They recognize that no other individual possesses the combination of intimate knowledge of the Dark Lord, practical experience in containing him, and the foresight embodied by the title of Oracle Mentor. This acceptance does not signal abdication of their own responsibilities, rather, it reflects a nuanced comprehension of leadership, where wisdom sometimes requires deferring to those who have endured trials beyond the present generation. Each mage acknowledges that their own authority and skill, though significant, must operate in harmony with the guidance established by the Mentor, creating a unified approach rooted in proven history and tested strategy. The 20-year interval between the initial sealing and the current resurgence emphasizes the cyclical and persistent nature of the threat. The Dark Lord's return is not a new anomaly but a continuation of a conflict that transcends ordinary lifespans and political epochs, underscoring the scale and patience inherent in his menace. The Oracle Mentor's enduring presence, even in absence, provides a connective thread between past victories and present necessity, offering insight into the continuity of danger that individual mages cannot fully perceive alone. This realization reshapes their perspective, illustrating that conventional measures, however competent, risk repeating the same errors without alignment with the Mentor's long-term oversight. The mages collectively internalize the weight of historical precedent, understanding that their strategies must integrate with the Mentor's established frameworks rather than rely solely on immediate ingenuity. Recognition of this alignment transforms fragmented planning into cohesive purpose, consolidating individual efforts into a coordinated response informed by decades of accumulated wisdom. The interplay between temporal perspective and practical expertise highlights the depth of the crisis. Survival hinges not merely on confronting the Dark Lord's forces but on leveraging the insight gained through prior encounters and sacrifices. This awareness tempers urgency with deliberation, showing that effective action requires more than immediate reaction. It demands respect for continuity, precedent, and the delicate balance maintained through decades of vigilance. By acknowledging the Oracle Mentor as the pivotal figure capable of shaping outcomes, the mages accept a framework in which their own authority is both essential and subsidiary, complementing rather than replacing the insights of a figure whose experience encompasses both historical and present dimensions of the threat. The recognition is not passive, it informs every subsequent decision, dictating the careful calibration of timing, resource allocation, and strategy. In doing so, the mages reconcile the demands of immediate survival with the long-term imperatives imposed by the Dark Lord's cyclical emergence. Their acceptance embodies a mature understanding of leadership, emphasizing that strength is expressed not solely through individual power but through the capacity to integrate knowledge across generations, aligning present action with proven wisdom. The 20-year gap further underscores the consequences of deferred intervention and the necessity of measured response. The mentor's prolonged concealment was a strategic choice that preserved stability, and any engagement must honor that intentionality to avoid repeating past errors. The mages' respect for this timeline reinforces the notion that the crisis cannot be addressed through impulsive measures alone. It requires deliberate coordination, informed by the mentor's foresight and the accumulated understanding of prior confrontations. In this way, the narrative emphasizes the interdependence of insight, experience, and action. The mages' realization serves as a pivot, converting knowledge of limitation into strategic clarity, and framing the Oracle mentor not as an abstract savior but as a linchpin whose historical decisions structure present options. The recognition of their own position relative to the mentor fosters unity, transforming potential fragmentation into coordinated purpose. It underscores that leadership in the face of overwhelming threats demands humility as much as competence, an acknowledgement that even capable individuals must defer to guidance rooted in a broader temporal and experiential context. The cyclical nature of the Dark Lord's threat, coupled with the mentor's enduring oversight, positions the current moment as a continuation of a long struggle, where past decisions and sacrifices directly inform the choices necessary today. The mages' acceptance of this dynamic creates both focus and restraint, reinforcing that the path to effective intervention is framed by historical understanding rather than immediate impulse. Every strategic consideration now incorporates the weight of precedent, the recognition of continuity, and the acknowledgement that the Oracle mentor's experience provides a perspective unattainable through contemporary observation alone. This alignment between past and present solidifies the mages' approach, ensuring that their actions contribute to a coherent, historically informed response capable of addressing both immediate threats and the underlying cyclical nature of the Dark Lord's influence. Their shared understanding transforms uncertainty into disciplined preparation, merging respect for experience with readiness to act, and demonstrating that survival depends as much on integrating accumulated wisdom as on confronting the enemy directly. The mages' internalization of this reality highlights the narrative's emphasis on the interplay between foresight, historical continuity, and the practical demands of crisis management, showing that true strategic insight combines acknowledgement of limits with deliberate, coordinated effort. In this context, the Oracle mentor's enduring significance transcends mere magical strength. It represents the capacity to interpret, guide, and stabilize actions across temporal spans, ensuring that each decision aligns with lessons learned and sacrifices made over decades. The mages' measured acceptance of their dependence on this figure underscores both the magnitude of the threat and the disciplined maturity required to confront it effectively. Their focus shifts from isolated action to harmonized intervention, demonstrating that the resolution of a crisis on this scale demands integration of knowledge, strategic patience, and respect for the enduring structures of guidance established by those who have faced the Dark Lord before. This understanding frames the narrative tension, illustrating that the present challenge is inseparable from the accumulated legacy of past actions, and that only through recognition and coordination with the Oracle mentor can the kingdom hope to navigate the renewed threat successfully. Every consideration, from tactical movement to allocation of magical resources, is now informed by this temporal and strategic perspective, emphasizing that effective leadership is as much about aligning with historical insight as it is about immediate capability. The mages' cohesion, born from acceptance of both limitation and precedent, converts uncertainty into disciplined readiness, reflecting a complex, mature approach to crisis where the lessons of the past dictate the prudent navigation of present peril, and where the Oracle mentor's enduring influence ensures that the kingdom's defenses are guided by both experience and foresight. The weight of understanding presses on them, turning hesitation into focus. Each mage senses that the path forward demands not only courage but a confrontation with their own pride. The Oracle mentor, long veiled in mystery, represents not merely assistance but judgment, an appraisal of worthiness that cannot be bypassed. Their journey to seek the mentor is layered with moral and practical challenges, the uncertainty of reception, the hidden trials along the way, and the cost implicit in invoking such a power. Every step toward this figure is a test of character, a reflection of how deeply they are willing to embrace humility over entitlement. They cannot command salvation, they can only seek it with respect and readiness. As plans begin to form, the mages reflect on the years the mentor remained hidden. What once seemed like abandonment now appears as deliberate patience, a quiet observation that preserved balance and allowed consequences to unfold naturally. The sealing of the Dark Lord, once a closed chapter, is revealed as a process whose echoes continued to shape the world. The mages understand that history is not static, it breathes, and their current crisis is part of that living narrative. Accepting the mentor's role means acknowledging that their own abilities, however formidable, are insufficient alone. Power is not only in action but in discernment, and recognizing the limits of their strength is itself an act of wisdom. Tension mixes with determination as the mages consider the practical realities of their quest. They must locate the mentor, an entity whose very existence was the subject of legend, and communicate a request without arrogance. Each mage contemplates the consequences of failure, not only for themselves but for all who depend on them. The gravity of responsibility sharpens their focus, binding them in a shared purpose that transcends personal ambition. Trust must be extended to each other as much as to the mentor. Divisions or misjudgments could doom the mission before it even begins. In this crucible, personal flaws are exposed, and the process of self-reflection becomes inseparable from the practical steps of the journey. The idea of sacrifice resurfaces, heavy with meaning. They recognize that appealing to the mentor is not a mere transaction, it may demand giving up something essential, confronting truths that are uncomfortable or painful, or enduring trials that test both resolve and morality. The notion of deserving help becomes central. Salvation is neither guaranteed nor free. The mentor's assistance, if granted, will not come without cost, an invisible toll measured in endurance, humility, and insight. This realization humbles the mages, reshaping their perspective from one of urgency-driven recklessness to deliberate, principled action. They must reconcile their desire for resolution with the ethical and existential realities imposed by the world they inhabit. The journey, though still abstract, begins to feel tangible. Each mage visualizes potential paths, obstacles, and encounters, layering strategy with awareness of moral consequence. They understand that knowledge alone will not suffice, wisdom, patience, and moral integrity must guide every decision. The mentor is not merely a tool to be leveraged but a presence whose judgment will shape outcomes in ways the mages cannot fully predict. This reframing changes the nature of their collaboration, instilling both reverence and practical discipline. Even as doubt lingers, the clarity of purpose provides a grounding point, a shared axis around which their collective effort can pivot. Emotion threads through their contemplation, fear, hope, and awe interwoven with the weight of duty. They confront the possibility that even with the mentor's aid, challenges may remain insurmountable. Yet, this acknowledgement does not paralyze, it motivates. Awareness of limitation becomes a catalyst for disciplined preparation, a reminder that courage is not the absence of fear but action in its presence. The recognition that past sacrifices, including the 2-decade vigil, inform the present crisis reinforces a sense of continuity, linking their actions to the broader tapestry of history. They act not in isolation but as part of an unfolding narrative that demands both humility and engagement. By the time they prepare to set out, a subtle transformation has occurred. Their sense of urgency is tempered by reflection, their strategy is guided by ethical consideration as much as tactical necessity. The Oracle mentor has shifted from distant legend to immediate moral anchor, a figure whose involvement redefines what it means to act responsibly. In choosing to pursue the mentor, they embrace accountability not as a burden but as a guiding principle. Victory is no longer the simple measure of success, it is the integrity with which they navigate the journey and confront the truth, however challenging or unsettling it may be. Ultimately, this moment crystallizes a profound lesson: true power is inseparable from self-awareness and restraint. The mages are confronted with the interplay of history, morality, and destiny. Realizing that the path to resolution lies not in bypassing difficulty but in engaging it with honesty and respect. They are reminded that the world they inhabit rewards neither arrogance nor haste, it honors patience, courage, and the willingness to confront uncomfortable truths. The encounter with the Oracle mentor, when it comes, will test them in ways that demand more than skill, it will demand character. And in this understanding, the mages find direction, purpose, and the faint but steady promise of hope, rooted not in illusion but in the enduring principles that have guided generations before them. The recognition of their limitations, combined with the willingness to confront the consequences of their choices, forms the true foundation for the journey ahead. Each mage carries a renewed sense of responsibility, a clear understanding that the stakes extend far beyond themselves. Salvation is contingent on more than magical skill, it is contingent on the cultivation of insight, ethical discernment, and the humility to accept guidance from a power greater than their own. In embracing these truths, they are poised to act not out of desperation, but with deliberate clarity, guided by the knowledge that the journey itself, with all its trials, will define their worth and the ultimate resolution of the challenge that confronts them. Eden's presence among the pumpkins exudes a serene confidence that contrasts sharply with the turmoil beyond his fields. Each movement is deliberate, his hands sifting through soil, checking the health of vines, and repositioning stems with meticulous care. There is a rhythm to his work, a pattern born of repetition and familiarity, yet it is not mechanical, it carries a quiet dignity and a conscious choice to embrace life's simplicity in the face of looming uncertainty. Danger may gather like storm clouds over the kingdom, but Eden's focus remains anchored to the tangible world he nurtures. His calm is neither naive nor performative, it is the manifestation of inner strength cultivated through acceptance of his responsibilities and the value he places on ordinary, honest labor. The fields themselves become a mirror of Eden's philosophy. The pumpkins, bright and unassuming, grow in disciplined rows, dependent on attention and patience rather than speed or aggression. Their progress is slow, seasonal, and contingent on the care he provides daily. In tending them, Eden reaffirms a principle that survival and preservation often begin with small, consistent acts. By lifting soil, adjusting vines, and observing subtle changes in growth, he asserts control not through dominance over forces beyond his reach, but through stewardship of what he can influence. His actions suggest a deep-seated understanding that resilience is rooted in responsibility, and that courage is sometimes expressed quietly through diligence rather than confrontation. There is also a subtle defiance in his composure. The kingdom faces threats that are both vast and unpredictable, yet Eden does not allow anxiety or fear to dictate his movements. He does not rush, nor does he seek distraction, he immerses himself fully in the rhythms of cultivation. This juxtaposition, serenity amid crisis, reveals a character who measures strength not by the magnitude of his actions against external chaos, but by the steadiness with which he maintains order in his immediate world. Every careful turn of the soil, every adjustment of a vine, becomes an act of intentional resistance to despair, a tangible assertion that life, however fragile, persists. Moreover, the pumpkins serve as a living emblem of Eden's values. They represent the ordinary, the harvest that comes from patience and attentiveness, and the reward of consistent care. They are dependent on nurturing rather than conquest, growth rather than domination, much like the principles Eden upholds. By devoting himself to their well-being, he conveys that even in a world threatened by turmoil, prioritizing what is within one's power can create a foundation for stability and hope. The act of tending to the earth becomes inseparable from the cultivation of character, demonstrating that protection and perseverance are not abstract ideals but lived experiences embedded in daily labor. Eden's demeanor further underscores a tension between vulnerability and mastery. The calm he exhibits is not born of ignorance or detachment, he is fully aware of the dangers encroaching upon the kingdom. Yet, he deliberately chooses focus over distraction, action over panic. This conscious decision to engage with the immediate, the manageable, is a testament to wisdom, recognizing limits while exerting influence where possible. His calm is therefore both practical and moral, reflecting a philosophy that the meaningful exercise of agency, even in small spheres, is a form of resistance against chaos. It is a demonstration that life's continuity depends not solely on grand gestures but on sustained, attentive care of what one can touch, nurture, and safeguard. The physicality of Eden's work reinforces this connection between presence and purpose. Bending over vines, lifting soil, and observing growth cycles, he inhabits the rhythm of the natural world. Each gesture is deliberate, and in its repetition, it becomes meditative, a method of anchoring the mind against fear. The act of farming transforms from mere sustenance to a profound assertion of existence. It is a way of affirming that life continues, that creation is possible, even when destruction looms. The earth becomes a canvas upon which patience, resilience, and quiet defiance are inscribed, revealing Eden's inner fortitude as clearly as his outward movements. This tension between ordinary work and extraordinary context also highlights Eden's moral clarity. He understands that heroism is not only measured by confrontation with threats but also by steadfastness in upholding essential duties. His attention to the pumpkins is not avoidance, it is preparation, a reinforcement of the values that define his character. By protecting and nurturing life where he can, he contributes to the stability of the world at large, demonstrating that acts of care, however modest, are intrinsically powerful. The calm precision of his labor becomes a form of ethical resistance, embodying patience, discipline, and an unwavering commitment to the continuity of life. Ultimately, Eden's interaction with the pumpkins transforms a simple farming scene into a profound reflection on resilience, responsibility, and purpose. In a kingdom overshadowed by peril, his calm attention to the earth is an act of defiance, patience, and foresight. Each careful movement reinforces a philosophy that life must be protected, nurtured, and respected, regardless of external chaos. The pumpkins, ordinary yet dependent on his care, become symbols of the life he has chosen to preserve and the principles he upholds. Through Eden, it becomes clear that courage and strength are not always measured in confrontation or spectacle, but in the steadfast, mindful commitment to safeguard what is precious, to act deliberately, and to live with purpose in every small, essential task. By the time the day wanes and the fields grow quiet, Eden's calm has become a presence that defines the space around him. His work, methodical and attentive, illustrates that in the midst of uncertainty, one can find stability through responsibility, clarity through focus, and courage through persistence. The act of tending to the pumpkins, simple yet profound, exemplifies a philosophy where life, even in its smallest manifestations, commands respect and protection. Eden's deliberate, unwavering attention to his crops embodies a deeper truth, that ordinary actions, performed with care and intention, hold the power to resist chaos, cultivate resilience, and sustain hope in a world constantly threatened by forces beyond one's control. Eden's calm in the fields is not born of naivety but of deliberate awareness. Every action he takes, from bending to check a vine to adjusting soil around a pumpkin, demonstrates a deep understanding of both the present and the potential dangers looming beyond the farm. His earlier decisions, subtle preparations, careful observations, and measured responses, establish him as someone who carries authority rooted in experience rather than impulse. By choosing to continue tending the crops now, he asserts control over his immediate environment, refusing to surrender to fear or chaos. The rhythm of planting and nurturing becomes a form of discipline, each movement reinforcing his connection to the tangible world and to the responsibilities that define his life. In this way, Eden demonstrates that presence and purpose can neutralize the influence of fear. Grounded action becomes a shield as potent as any sword. The pumpkins themselves mirror Eden's philosophy of cautious endurance. Their growth is slow, dependent on attention, timing, and consistent care, qualities that reflect his approach to challenges and conflict. He has never sought quick victories through rash action. His strategies emphasize patience, preparation, and resilience. Working in the field embodies this mindset. To force growth, whether in crops or in dealing with threats, risks destabilization and failure. Eden understands that true protection requires calm deliberation rather than reactive panic. Each measured gesture, lifting soil, straightening a vine, observing subtle changes in leaves, illustrates his mastery of restraint and foresight. The pace of the pumpkins, growth becomes a visual metaphor for the type of progress Eden values, slow, deliberate, and enduring, resisting the chaos that swirls beyond the boundaries of his farm. Eden's actions also reflect a philosophy of responsibility intertwined with mindfulness. The act of tending to his crops is not merely agricultural labor, it is an exercise in presence and intentionality. Every step, every adjustment, anchors him to his purpose, reminding him that he is a custodian of life even amid overwhelming uncertainty. By focusing on what he can influence directly, he maintains clarity of thought, conserving energy for decisions that require careful judgment. The tactile engagement with soil and plant life is both practical and symbolic. It affirms his agency in a world where so much remains uncontrollable. Eden's calm thus becomes a conscious choice, a strategy for navigating an environment where fear and haste could compromise judgment and diminish the impact of his actions. Furthermore, Eden's patience in the field conveys a moral lesson about endurance in the face of external threat. The slow maturation of the pumpkins mirrors the cultivation of his own resilience. Each act of care reinforces the principle that growth, whether of plants, strategy, or personal strength, cannot be rushed without cost. By remaining steady, he exemplifies the type of leadership that values sustainability over spectacle, prudence over recklessness. His calm is not passivity, it is an active engagement with reality, a recognition that thoughtful, consistent effort often achieves more than impulsive reaction. Even as chaos looms outside the boundaries of his farm, he demonstrates that deliberate care for what lies within one's control forms the foundation for resilience and eventual success. The contrast between the tranquility of Eden's work and the broader turmoil around him emphasizes the depth of his character. While the kingdom faces unpredictable dangers, he maintains a deliberate rhythm, showing that strength is often expressed through composure rather than force. His approach suggests an understanding of the natural order, that life progresses according to cycles and attention, not haste. By nurturing the pumpkins, he manifests a philosophy in which patience and foresight are as vital as courage and skill. This interplay between the slow, deliberate care of the crops and the fast-moving threats beyond the farm illustrates Eden's mastery of equilibrium, balancing awareness of danger with the necessity of remaining grounded in daily responsibility. Eden's methodical attention also reinforces the idea that calm, deliberate action cultivates reliability. Every motion, whether checking the soil's moisture, adjusting a vine's angle, or inspecting the leaves for signs of stress, embodies a disciplined mindset honed over years of experience. He recognizes that panic or distraction could compromise not only his efforts but also the broader implications of his role. The measured pace of his work conveys an internal stability that contrasts sharply with external instability. In this way, Eden's calm becomes a tangible strategy. By mastering the immediate and visible elements of his world, he preserves the capacity to respond effectively to unforeseen challenges. Even the smallest details of Eden's interaction with the pumpkins reveal his understanding of cause and effect. By observing subtle shifts in growth or leaf color, he anticipates problems before they escalate, demonstrating foresight and vigilance. This attentiveness underscores a principle that applies both to farming and to leadership. Vigilance, patience, and precision yield results that impulsive or emotional responses cannot. Eden's calm is therefore both practical and philosophical. It embodies an ethic of preparation, persistence, and steady judgment, illustrating that careful stewardship is often the most effective form of protection against forces beyond one's control. Ultimately, Eden's presence among the pumpkins transforms a simple agricultural scene into a demonstration of enduring wisdom, resilience, and moral clarity. His careful movements, his focus on steady progress, and his refusal to be consumed by fear convey a philosophy that strength is measured not only by action in crisis but by the consistency of care in ordinary circumstances. The pumpkins become a living metaphor for the values he upholds: patience, endurance, attentiveness, and the quiet cultivation of life in the face of uncertainty. Through Eden, it is evident that composure, deliberate effort, and steadfast attention to responsibility are as vital to survival as courage and power, illustrating that measured persistence can overcome chaos where rashness would fail. By the end of the day, Eden's calm embodies an unspoken assertion of control, a testament to the power of presence and the enduring value of careful, intentional action. Each movement in the field reinforces the lesson that life, growth, and protection require consistency and mindful engagement, and that even in the shadow of overwhelming threats, the deliberate pursuit of responsibility, patience, and foresight forms the truest foundation for resilience, stability, and hope. Eden's quiet resilience defines the scene, revealing a strength that is subtle yet unmistakable. His casual movements through the pumpkin fields are carefully measured, free of tension yet brimming with awareness. Every gesture, from adjusting the soil to inspecting a vine, demonstrates attentiveness shaped by experience. He does not flee from danger, nor does he confront it recklessly. He coexists with it, allowing vigilance to guide his actions without dominating them. Farming, in Eden's eyes, is not a retreat from responsibility but a tangible expression of it. The soil he tills, the pumpkins he nurtures, and the rhythm of daily care all serve a greater purpose: sustaining life, supporting the community, and maintaining continuity in a world increasingly threatened by uncertainty. His commitment to these ordinary tasks asserts a deliberate choice to preserve order, showing that even simple acts can carry profound significance. Eden's demeanor also conveys an unspoken philosophy: true strength does not always require dramatic gestures or overt displays of power. By tending his crops with patience and consistency, he demonstrates that resilience can manifest quietly, in the maintenance of routine and the protection of what is within one's control. The calmness he exhibits does not indicate ignorance of danger, rather, it is a deliberate strategy, a form of resistance against chaos. While the world beyond the farm may be collapsing or threatening, the orderly rows of pumpkins grow steadily, reflecting the persistence and dedication of their caretaker. In this sense, Eden's actions speak louder than words, proving that courage can be expressed as steadfastness, and heroism can exist in the unwavering commitment to one's duties. The juxtaposition between Eden's calm and the looming external threats underscores the depth of his character. While others may react with panic or urgency, Eden maintains a deliberate pace, emphasizing the value of measured action. He understands that hastiness often leads to mistakes, that true protection requires preparation, observation, and endurance. Each movement, each touch to the soil or vine, reflects a philosophy of sustainability. Growth and safety are achieved not through force, but through consistent, attentive care. The pumpkins themselves become symbols of this principle. Their slow, steady maturation mirrors Eden's approach to life and conflict, patient, deliberate, and resistant to disruption. Through his actions, he demonstrates that even when confronted with overwhelming odds, one can assert control over what is manageable, preserving life and continuity. Moreover, Eden's attention to the farm conveys a moral and ethical dimension to his resilience. By nurturing the land, he upholds values that extend beyond immediate survival. The act of caring for the pumpkins embodies responsibility, patience, and respect for life, emphasizing that human action matters even in small, everyday choices. The continuity of the farm reflects a larger continuity of community and purpose, suggesting that preserving life in its ordinary forms is as meaningful as confronting extraordinary threats. Eden's composure reinforces the idea that courage can be quiet and consistent, a deliberate engagement with reality rather than a reactionary display. His calm becomes both a practical and philosophical stance, demonstrating that steadfastness and attentiveness in ordinary circumstances form the foundation for facing greater challenges. The scene also emphasizes the interplay between awareness and serenity. Eden is fully conscious of danger, his calm is not ignorance but mastery. By remaining focused on the tangible, the soil, the pumpkins, the rhythm of tending, the overwhelming presence of external threats loses some of its power. This careful attention cultivates clarity of mind, allowing him to act decisively when necessary. Eden's balance between vigilance and composure exemplifies a rare form of wisdom, the ability to maintain normalcy and order in immediate surroundings while acknowledging and preparing for larger, uncontrollable forces. It is a demonstration that enduring strength lies in deliberate, attentive action rather than impulsive reaction. Eden's persistence also conveys a message about the significance of small, consistent acts in the face of adversity. The pumpkin's slow growth parallels the cultivation of resilience, illustrating that enduring challenges often require sustained, patient effort. Eden does not rush, he understands that the consequences of haste are greater than the perceived benefits of speed. His methodical approach transforms routine farming into a profound statement: life can be nurtured and protected even amid encroaching darkness. Each measured gesture reinforces the principle that persistence, attentiveness, and responsibility constitute true power. The farm remains a microcosm of stability, a domain where Eden's choices directly influence outcomes, demonstrating that resistance to chaos often begins with steadfast care of what is within one's control. The visual and symbolic weight of Eden's calm extends to the broader narrative of survival and moral clarity. While danger looms elsewhere, his commitment to tending the pumpkins illustrates that the fight for life is not only waged in grand confrontations but also in everyday, deliberate choices. By maintaining order where he can, Eden asserts that hope and continuity are cultivated through consistent, thoughtful action. His calm presence reinforces a philosophy that persistence and normalcy, when maintained with intention, are themselves acts of courage. The farm thrives not despite external threats but alongside them, a testament to the power of deliberate care and the importance of sustaining what is meaningful in the midst of uncertainty. Ultimately, Eden's interaction with his crops transforms a simple farming routine into a profound reflection on resilience, agency, and moral integrity. The pumpkins, ordinary yet dependent on his attention, become symbols of the life he protects and the principles he upholds. Through deliberate action, attentiveness, and unwavering calm, Eden embodies a philosophy in which courage is expressed through consistency, strength through persistence, and resistance through responsibility. Even as darkness gathers beyond the boundaries of the farm, his steady care ensures that life continues, hope persists, and the values of patience, endurance, and thoughtful engagement remain tangible. Eden demonstrates that in the face of overwhelming threats, maintaining composure, acting with intention, and nurturing what is within reach are the truest expressions of strength and resilience, anchoring both life and purpose amid uncertainty. Eden demonstrates remarkable composure and authority in the face of spreading fear, treating the dark ghouls as a manageable nuisance rather than an existential threat. His calm is deliberate, grounded in preparation and experience, reflecting confidence in the safeguards he has already enacted. By dismissing panic and asserting that the sky will not fall, he reframes the danger, emphasizing that fear magnifies threats and that measured perspective restores control. This approach transforms the encounter from a source of hysteria into a challenge that can be addressed with clarity and discipline. Eden's restraint aligns with his consistent philosophy of defense over aggression, protection over spectacle, and patience over reaction, showing that true readiness involves both anticipation and calm endurance. His interaction with the farm animals further illustrates his leadership. They respond to him with precision and attentiveness, revealing a deep bond forged through experience and training. Eden directs them to confront the spreading threat, assigning roles with certainty and clarity. The animal's disciplined response reinforces the effectiveness of his calm authority, demonstrating that leadership is as much about guiding others with steadiness as it is about direct action. By maintaining composure, modeling restraint, and mobilizing resources efficiently, Eden balances reassurance with strategic coordination, ensuring that both people and creatures act with focus rather than fear. In this way, his measured demeanor preserves morale, protects life, and asserts control over the situation without resorting to force or dramatics. Eden's direction of his magical companions demonstrates how seamlessly protection is woven into the rhythm of his daily life. The farm functions not only as a place of labor and sustenance but as a carefully constructed defensive environment, where every element serves a purpose in safeguarding what matters. The animals themselves reflect this duality, outwardly ordinary, yet imbued with extraordinary abilities that make them indispensable in moments of crisis. This duality mirrors Eden's own existence. He presents himself as a simple farmer while shouldering responsibilities of immense weight. The symmetry between his companions and himself reinforces a central truth. True strength often operates quietly, hidden within ordinary forms, revealing itself only when necessary. Eden's commands are precise and practical, devoid of flair or exaggeration. He communicates the tasks at hand with clarity, framing them as essential duties rather than heroic exploits. This deliberate restraint emphasizes responsibility over spectacle, underscoring that the purpose of action is protection rather than personal glory. Each instruction is calculated, ensuring that his companions act effectively without endangering themselves unnecessarily. The animals, trained and attuned to his guidance, respond with immediacy and discipline, reflecting both their preparation and the trust that has been cultivated over time. Eden's treatment of them as partners rather than tools demonstrates a relational understanding. He values their agency and abilities, coordinating their efforts with respect and precision. The efficiency of his leadership reflects his broader philosophy of measured action. Eden understands that power, when wielded carelessly, can invite chaos rather than prevent it. By assigning duties calmly and without drama, he maintains focus on the practical outcomes of the situation, ensuring that each magical companion contributes to the defense in a way that aligns with their capabilities. This approach minimizes unnecessary risk while maximizing effectiveness, revealing a strategic mind capable of balancing immediate demands with long-term considerations. The ordinary appearance of the farm, juxtaposed with the extraordinary abilities of its inhabitants, reinforces the idea that vigilance and preparedness can be integrated into everyday life without disrupting its apparent normalcy. Eden's composure also serves a psychological function, stabilizing both the animals and any human observers. His calm, measured presence models behavior, signaling that the threat can be addressed without panic. By issuing commands as part of routine duty rather than dramatic intervention, he reduces fear and ensures cohesion. The creatures act with confidence because their leader embodies clarity and authority, demonstrating that calm guidance can multiply effectiveness in ways that force alone cannot achieve. This dynamic illustrates a subtle but powerful aspect of Eden's character. He leads through competence, steadiness, and example rather than spectacle, emphasizing that trust and coordination are as critical to success as raw power. The farm itself becomes an extension of Eden's strategic vision. Each row of crops, each cultivated patch of soil, and each carefully tended animal contributes to an environment capable of responding to threats while maintaining the semblance of ordinary life. The magical companions, positioned throughout this space, transform the farm into a functional defense network, where action and preparation coexist seamlessly with routine. Eden's commands integrate them into this network without disrupting the natural order of the farm, showing that readiness need not be intrusive or chaotic. The symmetry between the farm's outward simplicity and its hidden capability mirrors Eden's personal philosophy. Resilience and protection are most effective when embedded subtly within familiar, ordinary structures. Eden's approach to leadership highlights mutual respect and collaboration. The animals are not coerced into action, they are guided based on preparation, skill, and trust. This relationship demonstrates an understanding that true guardianship depends on coordination, communication, and recognition of the abilities of those entrusted with responsibility. By framing the task as duty rather than heroism, Eden maintains focus on purpose rather than ego, ensuring that every action contributes to defense and preservation. His measured commands reinforce discipline, enabling the magical companions to act decisively while remaining mindful of safety and efficiency. The scene also emphasizes the interplay between perception and reality. The farm appears simple, almost mundane, yet it functions as a hub of readiness, just as Eden himself appears as a humble farmer while embodying immense capability and responsibility. This concealment allows him and his companions to operate without attracting unnecessary attention, highlighting the strategic advantage of understated strength. His calm, deliberate instructions ensure that the extraordinary potential of the animals is harnessed effectively, reflecting a broader principle: power is most sustainable and reliable when it is integrated into ordinary life and exercised with restraint. Eden's treatment of the animals underscores a philosophy of balance between action and restraint. He recognizes the necessity of intervention but avoids impulsive or reckless engagement. Each instruction is deliberate, ensuring that responses are proportionate to the threat and aligned with the capabilities of those involved. This disciplined approach preserves both effectiveness and cohesion, emphasizing that readiness is as much about strategy and foresight as it is about raw power. The magical companion's attentiveness to Eden reflects the depth of training and mutual understanding, creating a network of coordinated action capable of addressing threats efficiently while maintaining order and safety. Through this interaction, Eden models a form of leadership rooted in trust, preparation, and quiet authority. His calm commands, framed as duty rather than spectacle, reinforce the idea that protection is embedded in daily life and ordinary actions. The animal's dual nature, ordinary in appearance yet extraordinary in function, parallels Eden's own balance between outward simplicity and hidden strength. This symmetry illustrates that resilience and defense do not always announce themselves dramatically; they are cultivated patiently, exercised deliberately, and revealed through disciplined action when necessary. Ultimately, Eden's management of his magical companions conveys that true guardianship combines vigilance, strategy, and measured authority. By integrating protection into the fabric of everyday life, treating allies with respect, and issuing precise, unembellished commands, he ensures that extraordinary capabilities are applied effectively and responsibly. The farm and its inhabitants become a living testament to his philosophy. Strength can operate quietly, resilience can coexist with routine, and leadership can be expressed through calm, deliberate guidance rather than force or spectacle. Eden's coordination of his companions demonstrates that ordinary appearances can conceal profound capability, and that thoughtful stewardship and preparation are as powerful as any direct confrontation. Eden's magical companions transform the farm into a complex, multi-layered defense network, where outward simplicity conceals careful planning and readiness. What appears as ordinary farmland, with its rows of crops and serene environment, is actually a space structured to respond to threats efficiently and strategically. The animals, while outwardly familiar, possess extraordinary capabilities that allow them to act decisively when needed, embodying a duality that mirrors Eden himself, ordinary in appearance but exceptional in function. Their presence validates Eden's earlier composure, showing that his calm was not ignorance or denial but grounded in deliberate preparation. The seamless activation of these companions reflects foresight and strategic thinking, demonstrating that every element of the farm has been integrated into a broader defensive system. The animals' disciplined obedience and attentiveness indicate that Eden has invested time in training and coordination, creating a shared sense of purpose that extends the farm's protective reach without disturbing its natural rhythm or appearance. By delegating responsibilities to the magical pets, Eden distributes the burden of defense thoughtfully, ensuring that no single entity bears the weight of every threat. He recognizes that survival and effectiveness require a networked approach, where each participant contributes according to their abilities. This delegation demonstrates both wisdom and humility. Eden does not attempt to dominate every challenge alone, nor does he underestimate the value of collaboration. Each animal's role is precisely defined, reflecting Eden's understanding of their strengths and limitations, and the careful orchestration ensures that responses are timely, coordinated, and proportionate to the danger. Delegation here is not simply convenience, it is a strategic principle, embedding resilience and adaptability into the structure of daily life on the farm. The farm itself becomes a metaphor for Eden's philosophy of protection. By embedding extraordinary capabilities within ordinary appearances, he maintains a balance between visibility and discretion. The land remains productive, the animals active, and the environment intact, yet each component is poised to counter threats effectively. This arrangement illustrates Eden's broader approach to danger. Readiness does not require overt displays of power but relies on careful preparation, discipline, and understanding of systems and relationships. Every choice, from the placement of crops to the positioning of animals, reflects a mindful integration of defense into daily routine, showing that vigilance can coexist with normalcy. Eden's leadership style emerges through this coordination. Rather than imposing authority through force or fear, he guides through clarity, trust, and example. The magical companions act with precision because they understand their roles and trust their leader's judgment. This trust is mutual, built over time through training, shared experiences, and consistent expectations. Eden's calm presence reassures them, and his methodical direction ensures that each action contributes meaningfully to the larger defensive strategy. By maintaining composure and distributing responsibility effectively, he maximizes the potential of his allies while preserving his own focus for strategic oversight. The scene emphasizes the interplay between preparedness and perception. To an observer, the farm may seem ordinary, serene, and unthreatened, yet beneath the surface lies a system capable of responding to danger with efficiency and coordination. Eden's foresight allows him to mobilize defenses without disrupting the environment, demonstrating a sophisticated understanding of timing, scale, and proportionality. The magical companion's readiness mirrors his own internal balance, reinforcing the idea that true power often operates quietly, without spectacle, but with decisive effectiveness when activated. This hidden layer of defense exemplifies the principle that preparation, discipline, and strategic delegation can amplify strength while preserving stability and order. Delegation also reinforces the communal nature of survival. Eden acknowledges that protection is not an individual pursuit, it requires shared effort and coordinated action. By assigning roles based on each companion's abilities, he creates a network in which trust, competence, and responsibility are distributed evenly. This approach prevents overextension, reduces vulnerability, and ensures that every participant understands their purpose within the broader plan. It is a demonstration of practical leadership. The most effective defense relies on organization, foresight, and the careful alignment of resources rather than raw power alone. The magical pet's obedience and effectiveness validate Eden's strategic vision. Each companion acts with purpose, responding to threats with a level of discipline that reflects both preparation and mutual understanding. Their dual nature, ordinary outwardly, extraordinary in capability, parallels Eden's own existence as a seemingly simple farmer who carries immense responsibility. This parallel reinforces the theme that appearances can conceal strength and that resilience is often embedded in routine and structure. The farm, therefore, functions as both a place of cultivation and a bastion of defense, where everyday actions and extraordinary readiness coexist seamlessly. Eden's calm authority shapes not only the behavior of his companions but also the environment itself. By integrating extraordinary defense mechanisms into the ordinary rhythm of the farm, he maintains continuity and stability while preparing for potential threats. The animal's precise execution under his guidance exemplifies the success of training, coordination, and trust. Every action is purposeful, reflecting Eden's careful orchestration of both space and resources to maximize effectiveness without attracting unnecessary attention. This combination of subtlety, foresight, and disciplined execution illustrates a broader principle. Preparedness and resilience are most powerful when embedded quietly within ordinary life, ready to respond when necessary. The scene also conveys a philosophy of restraint and proportionality. Eden's commands are efficient and unembellished. He does not exaggerate or dramatize the situation. Each companion understands their role, acting decisively without reckless action or unnecessary exposure to risk. This measured approach highlights a principle that extends beyond immediate survival. Power is most effective when applied deliberately, and responsibility is best exercised through coordination and clarity rather than spectacle. By framing the task as duty rather than heroism, Eden reinforces a culture of accountability, where action is purposeful and guided by reason rather than fear. Ultimately, the presence and mobilization of Eden's magical companions demonstrate the integration of strategy, preparation, and leadership within everyday life. The farm is, simultaneously a home, a sanctuary, and a defense network, structured to respond to threats while maintaining the appearance of normalcy. Eden's calm, precise direction ensures that each participant contributes according to their abilities, reflecting a philosophy in which protection is communal, responsibility is shared, and true strength operates quietly yet effectively. Through careful coordination, disciplined delegation, and foresight, Eden exemplifies the principle that resilience and readiness are cultivated through preparation, trust, and integration into ordinary life, transforming the farm into a space where ordinary appearances conceal extraordinary capability, and where measured leadership ensures survival and effectiveness in the face of danger. The contrast between the animals' seemingly ordinary appearance and the critical role they play in defending the farm highlights Eden's strategic subtlety. While evil thrives on fear, chaos, and spectacle, it encounters instead a resistance that is integrated seamlessly into the rhythm of everyday life. The magical companions operate effectively without altering the outward tranquility of the farm, demonstrating that strength can be hidden in plain sight. This deliberate concealment diminishes the psychological leverage of the enemy, as they are denied the drama and fear typically expected in a confrontation. Eden's choice to embed extraordinary capability within ordinary forms reinforces his earlier stance against panic. True readiness does not require spectacle, and calm persistence often carries more power than visible aggression. The farm remains serene to the casual observer, yet beneath this appearance lies a well-coordinated and disciplined defense, reflecting Eden's mastery of both strategy and perception. Eden's interaction with his companions emphasizes respect and mutual trust rather than coercion. His orders are clear, concise, and delivered with quiet authority, relying on the animal's discipline and preparedness rather than intimidation. This communication reflects a deep understanding of their abilities and temperament, creating a collaborative dynamic where each participant knows their role and the importance of their actions. The animal's responsiveness is not mere obedience, it is a reflection of loyalty and confidence in Eden's guidance, cultivated through consistent care, training, and demonstrated competence. Their readiness underscores the effectiveness of leadership built on respect, preparation, and trust, showing that authority rooted in competence fosters both reliability and commitment. The subtlety of this defense also conveys a broader philosophy about confronting danger. By embedding resistance within ordinary forms, Eden denies evil the psychological victories it seeks. The visual continuity of the farm, juxtaposed with the decisive actions of its magical inhabitants, exemplifies a principle that true power is often most effective when discreet. This approach mirrors Eden's earlier handling of the dark ghouls, measured, composed, and strategic, emphasizing proportion over panic, and clarity over spectacle. The scene reinforces the idea that leadership and defense can operate quietly, shaping outcomes through preparation, coordination, and subtle authority rather than overt force. Eden's calm presence provides both stability and direction. The animals respond immediately to his commands, reflecting not only their training but the trust inherent in their relationship with him. This trust allows for seamless execution of complex defensive measures without confusion or hesitation. By guiding rather than coercing, Eden ensures that each action taken is deliberate, purposeful, and aligned with the overall strategy. The mutual confidence between leader and companions ensures cohesion, amplifying their effectiveness and demonstrating that strength rooted in understanding and respect can achieve results that brute force alone cannot. Furthermore, the scene underscores Eden's ability to integrate defense into the fabric of normal life. The farm remains productive and peaceful in appearance, even as it functions as a frontline against emerging threats. This duality illustrates Eden's mastery of strategy. He prepares for danger without allowing it to dominate the environment or the mindset of those under his guidance. The animal's readiness, coordinated through clear instructions and shared purpose, exemplifies this principle in practice. The balance between ordinary routine and extraordinary action emphasizes that vigilance, preparation, and discipline can coexist with the preservation of everyday life. By framing the animal's mission as duty rather than spectacle, Eden reinforces the concept that responsibility and action are intertwined. Each companion understands their role, contributing to the defense of the farm in a way that reflects both skill and accountability. This methodical approach ensures that threats are managed efficiently while avoiding unnecessary risk, highlighting a strategic philosophy in which preparation, proportionality, and mutual trust form the foundation of effective leadership. The seamless integration of these elements demonstrates that resilience is cultivated not through panic or dramatics but through deliberate planning and disciplined execution. The subtle defense also communicates a psychological advantage. By maintaining normalcy while activating a well-coordinated response, Eden prevents fear from spreading among his allies and denies the enemy the satisfaction of provoking chaos. This approach reinforces his broader philosophy: control and clarity are as essential as strength in overcoming threats. The animal's discipline and responsiveness are extensions of Eden's strategic vision, illustrating how leadership, trust, and preparation can transform ordinary surroundings into effective instruments of defense. Eden's authority in this scenario reflects a balance of power and respect. He does not dominate or coerce, he guides with clarity and expectation, creating an environment where each companion's abilities are maximized. The loyalty and attentiveness of the magical animals testify to the strength of leadership grounded in care, consistent training, and earned confidence. Their combined effectiveness demonstrates that strength is amplified when distributed through trust and coordinated action rather than centralized through fear or intimidation. The effectiveness of this subtle, layered defense illustrates a broader lesson about preparedness. True resilience lies not only in overt displays of power but in the integration of readiness into ordinary life, where strategic planning, mutual trust, and disciplined execution converge. The animal's extraordinary abilities, concealed within familiar forms, parallel Eden's own duality as a farmer and guardian, reinforcing the theme that appearances can mask capability, and that vigilance and skill embedded in daily routine can counter even significant threats. Ultimately, Eden's engagement with his magical companions demonstrates the power of leadership grounded in respect, trust, and strategic foresight. By assigning clear roles, leveraging their discipline, and integrating their actions into the ordinary rhythm of the farm, he ensures an effective, measured defense that maintains both the appearance of normalcy and the functionality of the protective system. The animal's responsiveness validates his calm authority and the foresight behind his preparation. The scene exemplifies the principle that true strength often operates quietly, embedded within the ordinary, and that leadership based on competence, care, and mutual confidence can transform even a simple farm into a resilient front capable of confronting danger with clarity, coordination, and effectiveness. Eden's activation of his magical companions underscores the sophistication of his approach to danger, blending reassurance, defense, and strategic action into a single, measured response. While his earlier calm served to stabilize the atmosphere and maintain daily routine, this step demonstrates a seamless escalation in preparedness, executed without panic or disruption. The farm remains outwardly serene, preserving its normal appearance, yet beneath this calm lies a network of organized resistance ready to confront emerging threats. Eden's ability to calibrate action, escalating protection only as needed, reflects a leadership style that prioritizes balance. He neither overreacts nor underestimates the danger, ensuring that preparedness and composure coexist. This layered response transforms the farm into a functional hub of defense without allowing fear or urgency to dictate behavior, exemplifying a strategic integration of vigilance into everyday life. Assigning the magical companions to oppose evil illustrates Eden's principle that acknowledging a threat does not require succumbing to it. His previous dismissal of hysteria is complemented now by deliberate, effective action. Calm and preparedness are not mutually exclusive. The animal's precise deployment signals that danger is taken seriously, yet it is framed within the logic of routine and responsibility. By treating the confrontation as a manageable problem rather than an overwhelming catastrophe, Eden converts abstract danger into concrete tasks that can be addressed methodically. Each companion's role mirrors the careful tending of crops or the maintenance of the farm, emphasizing that defense, like cultivation, requires consistency, attention, and discipline rather than dramatics or impulsive heroism. Eden's approach highlights the subtle interplay between perception and reality in leadership. To an outside observer, the farm appears unchanged, peaceful, and ordinary, but each magical companion's readiness reflects extensive preparation and foresight. This concealment of extraordinary capability within familiar forms reduces the psychological advantage of the enemy, which expects fear, chaos, or visible confrontation. By embedding resistance within normalcy, Eden undermines the anticipations of evil, maintaining the initiative while denying the enemy the satisfaction of inducing panic. The contrast between calm routine and covert readiness reinforces the idea that true strength often operates quietly, embedded in structures that seem mundane but function with precision and purpose. The dynamic between Eden and his companions also reflects a philosophy of trust and respect. Commands are issued clearly and concisely, without coercion or exaggeration. The animal's immediate responsiveness demonstrates both their discipline and their confidence in his judgment, a relationship forged through repeated experience, care, and consistent leadership. Eden's authority is therefore earned rather than imposed, and the effectiveness of his defense relies as much on mutual confidence as on the inherent capabilities of his companions. This relational foundation ensures cohesion, minimizes errors, and enhances the strategic impact of each action, reinforcing the notion that preparedness is both an individual and communal endeavor. The measured nature of Eden's escalation further communicates the importance of proportionality in responding to threats. By integrating the magical companions into the defense without allowing the farm to resemble a battlefield, he maintains both physical and psychological stability. The subtlety of this response ensures that attention and resources are applied efficiently, targeting the actual threat without generating unnecessary disruption or fear. This approach illustrates a philosophy where vigilance is embedded into daily life and where action is calibrated to context, highlighting that resilience is most effective when it is both disciplined and discreet. Eden's decision to mobilize the companions exemplifies the principle that leadership is expressed through thoughtful orchestration rather than visible dominance. He translates awareness and perspective into structured action, demonstrating that preparation and clarity are more powerful than reactive force. Each companion acts with precision, fulfilling roles that have been assigned according to capability and purpose, allowing Eden to extend his influence without overextending himself. The animal's coordinated behavior mirrors the underlying philosophy of the farm itself. Ordinary structures, when imbued with discipline and foresight, become powerful instruments of stability and defense. The assignment of the animals also reinforces the distinction between panic and effective response. Eden acknowledges the threat without exaggeration, framing the confrontation as manageable and actionable. By converting danger into tasks that can be executed systematically, he demonstrates that fear is counterproductive and that calm, deliberate engagement preserves both clarity and resources. Each action, directing companions, organizing roles, and activating defenses, is conducted with restraint, emphasizing that true leadership is exercised through measured, purposeful intervention rather than impulsive reaction. This scene also illuminates Eden's philosophy of sustainability in defense. Just as crops require ongoing care, vigilance against threats demands consistent attention and structured coordination. The magical companions operate as extensions of this principle, embodying readiness without disrupting routine, protecting the farm while allowing it to remain productive and orderly. Eden's approach reflects an understanding that long-term resilience depends not on dramatic heroics but on the integration of preparation, trust, and routine into everyday operations. The integration of reassurance and action exemplifies a strategic balance that underpins Eden's broader worldview. By first calming fear and maintaining normalcy, and then activating protective measures subtly and deliberately, he models a form of leadership in which composure and preparedness are inseparable. The farm's outward tranquility masks a network of coordination and readiness, demonstrating that ordinary appearances can conceal extraordinary capability. This balance ensures that neither panic nor negligence governs responses, allowing for a measured, effective confrontation of danger when required. Ultimately, Eden's activation of his magical companions reinforces the interconnectedness of preparation, trust, and practical action. By assigning clear roles, leveraging the animal's discipline, and embedding their responses within the farm's ordinary structure, he transforms a simple homestead into a strategically resilient environment. Danger is acknowledged, addressed, and contained without drama, and leadership is expressed through clarity, calm, and deliberate orchestration. The farm becomes both a site of daily life and a functional defense network, exemplifying the principle that measured courage, strategic delegation, and coordinated action are essential to confronting threats effectively. Eden's approach demonstrates that strength is amplified not by spectacle, but by the thoughtful integration of readiness, trust, and disciplined execution into the fabric of ordinary life. This moment emphasizes the sophistication of Eden's hidden guardianship, blending quiet living with constant vigilance. He has chosen a life that appears ordinary, yet it is underpinned by preparedness and strategic foresight. His magical companions embody this philosophy, operating within the farm and community without drawing attention, yet fully ready to respond at a moment's notice. Their concealed presence allows others to live without the constant burden of fear, demonstrating that protection can exist without disrupting daily life. This duality, visible normalcy paired with latent defense, reflects Eden's understanding of both human psychology and the mechanics of security. A threat is best managed when it does not dominate perception, and preparedness is most effective when it is discreet. Eden's instructions to his companions are delivered with complete certainty. He assigns roles without hesitation or doubt, signaling absolute confidence in their capabilities and in the appropriateness of the response. The precision of his timing highlights his strategic acumen. Action is neither premature nor delayed, but calibrated to the exact moment when intervention is necessary. This approach underscores his philosophy that leadership is defined not by reactionary measures driven by fear, but by disciplined, measured responses aligned with the scale of the threat. The animal's compliance reinforces the effectiveness of this leadership style, demonstrating that preparation, trust, and prior training produce results without spectacle or coercion. The transformation of the farm into an active defensive hub occurs seamlessly, preserving its outward identity as a place of life, growth, and routine. Crops continue to be tended, daily rhythms are maintained, and the environment retains the illusion of peace. Eden's companions fulfill their roles with subtlety, ensuring that resistance does not manifest in ways that alarm or distract. This maintenance of normalcy is essential, as visible signs of panic or defensive urgency could undermine morale and erode confidence. Eden recognizes that psychological stability is as crucial as physical defense, and that fear, once visible, can be weaponized by adversaries just as effectively as any physical threat. The farm's calm appearance, therefore, is not neglect or passivity, but a deliberate strategic choice, preserving both morale and operational effectiveness. The concealed readiness of Eden's companions mirrors his own balance between ordinary life and protective duty. Their presence communicates that vigilance can coexist with tranquility, and that power need not be ostentatious to be effective. This integration of guardianship into everyday life reinforces the theme that true security relies on consistency, discipline, and anticipation rather than reactive heroics. By keeping the animal's extraordinary abilities hidden, Eden denies the enemy the psychological satisfaction of confrontation, ensuring that threats are mitigated without amplifying fear or chaos. This strategic subtlety highlights his understanding of the interplay between perception and reality in maintaining both defense and community stability. Eden's calm authority and the animal's disciplined response also exemplify the principle of distributed responsibility. By delegating tasks to trusted companions, he avoids centralizing all burdens on himself, recognizing that coordinated action is more sustainable and effective. Each companion acts with purpose and precision, executing duties for which they are uniquely prepared. Eden's leadership lies in aligning these roles efficiently, ensuring that every response contributes to an overarching strategy of defense. This approach emphasizes that resilience is communal, strength is multiplied when trust, preparation, and coordinated effort are combined. The farm operates as a microcosm of this philosophy, where ordinary appearances mask extraordinary capability, and every participant contributes to a carefully orchestrated balance between calm and readiness. The timing of Eden's actions reflects his understanding of the relationship between threat and perception. By acting only when necessary, he prevents the escalation of fear and ensures that resources are applied effectively. This measured approach underscores his belief that calm, deliberate action is more powerful than impulsive or visible exertion. The animal's readiness, activated precisely at the right moment, illustrates that preparation without panic allows for an efficient and controlled response to danger. Eden's decision-making demonstrates that true leadership requires both anticipation and patience, knowing when to intervene and when to maintain equilibrium. Moreover, the animal's concealed activity communicates a subtle psychological strategy. By remaining disguised within the farm's ordinary environment, they counter the enemy's expectations and diminish the impact of intimidation or surprise. The threat encounters resistance that is simultaneously present and unobtrusive, illustrating that control can be exercised without visible spectacle. This approach mirrors Eden's prior handling of dangers: calm dismissal, strategic preparation, and disciplined execution. Each measure reinforces the concept that resilience is most effective when integrated into normal life rather than displayed through dramatic or reactive gestures. Eden's coordination with his magical companions also reflects his philosophy of leadership grounded in mutual respect. Commands are communicated clearly and directly, with no need for coercion. The animals respond with disciplined precision, demonstrating loyalty and confidence born from consistent guidance and care. This relationship reinforces the broader theme that effective protection depends not only on power or skill but also on trust, respect, and the careful cultivation of competence. Authority is earned, not imposed, and the cooperative execution of responsibilities exemplifies how leadership, training, and trust combine to create a highly effective defensive system. The subtle defense maintained by Eden and his companions embodies a synthesis of preparation, restraint, and strategic foresight. Visible normalcy continues alongside hidden readiness, illustrating that security is most sustainable when integrated into daily life. By aligning the timing, roles, and capabilities of his companions with the farm's ordinary operations, Eden ensures that both the psychological and physical dimensions of defense are managed effectively. Panic is minimized, efficiency is maximized, and the farm becomes a model of disciplined, coordinated resilience. Ultimately, Eden's approach demonstrates that vigilance need not disrupt life, and that protection can be exercised without spectacle. The magical companions, hidden in plain sight, provide a reliable layer of defense that complements Eden's calm authority and measured leadership. The farm's outward tranquility masks a network of readiness and strategic coordination, reflecting a philosophy in which leadership, trust, preparation, and discretion converge to safeguard both life and morale. Eden's integration of reassurance, delegation, and concealed action exemplifies a balanced response to threat, proving that true resilience arises from composure, foresight, and the seamless blending of ordinary life with extraordinary guardianship. The animals. Seamless obedience reflects a profound alignment of purpose, demonstrating that true preparedness extends beyond mere tools or magic to encompass relationships grounded in trust and mutual understanding. They accept their roles without hesitation or resistance, indicating that Eden has cultivated not only their abilities but also their willingness to act according to shared values. This cohesion underscores that leadership is effective when authority is earned and collaboration is voluntary, allowing action to be carried out efficiently and harmoniously when circumstances demand it. Their responsiveness highlights that the strength of a defense network is measured not only by its power but by the discipline and commitment of those who operate within it, creating a system that functions reliably without constant oversight. Eden's approach to defense sharply contrasts with leaders who rely on spectacle or overt displays of force. He does not call forth armies, incite panic, or deploy destructive magic. Instead, he activates a subtle, pre-existing framework of protection woven into the fabric of everyday life. This quiet network exemplifies both strategic foresight and humility. Eden's strength is not performative, it is embedded in routine and ordinary activity, demonstrating that vigilance and effectiveness do not require recognition or grandeur. By maintaining the farm's appearance as a simple, working homestead, he conceals the latent power within, reinforcing the principle that true security operates seamlessly alongside daily life. The animal's activation amplifies this strategy, converting ordinary labor into coordinated defense without disrupting the calm exterior, illustrating that readiness can exist invisibly yet decisively. The distribution of duty among the animals also emphasizes Eden's philosophy of balance and integration. He does not relinquish his role as caretaker while assuming the responsibilities of defense. The same hands that tend soil and crops also direct protection against threats. This dual engagement ensures that his identity remains intact, neither fragmented by the pressures of conflict nor consumed entirely by vigilance. His life exemplifies the principle that protection and cultivation are not mutually exclusive, one reinforces the other. By integrating defense into his ordinary routines, Eden models a sustainable approach to leadership and survival, where readiness and responsibility coexist without compromise. Furthermore, this moment reveals Eden's understanding of subtlety in maintaining morale and authority. The animals act with quiet efficiency, reflecting their trust in his judgment and their internalization of the farm's values. There is no need for coercion or dramatization, the network functions because it has been nurtured, trained, and respected. Eden's leadership is exercised through clarity, consistency, and example rather than through fear or intimidation. This approach ensures that every action taken in response to threat is deliberate, measured, and effective, highlighting that discipline and foresight often outweigh raw power when facing danger. Eden's restraint also demonstrates an advanced understanding of perception as a strategic tool. By keeping both the farm and his defensive measures understated, he controls the narrative of power, denying adversaries psychological leverage. The ordinary appearance of the homestead masks extraordinary capability, preventing the enemy from anticipating the extent of resistance or exploiting fear. The simultaneous cultivation of crops and direction of defense illustrates that Eden's power is not flashy but functional, harmonized with his environment to create resilience that is practical, adaptive, and sustained over time. This approach reinforces the concept that preparation is relational as much as it is structural. The animal's alignment with Eden's values reflects the trust and mutual respect he has cultivated over time. Their readiness is not imposed, it is willingly adopted because they share the same understanding of purpose and responsibility. This relational foundation ensures that defense is not dependent solely on magical ability or technical skill, but also on loyalty, discipline, and shared commitment. When danger arises, action flows naturally from this established framework, highlighting that effective leadership integrates preparation, trust, and clear communication into a living, functioning system. Eden's integration of everyday life with defense also conveys a philosophical perspective on the nature of power and vigilance. He exemplifies the idea that true authority does not require constant display, it is enacted quietly, through consistency and presence. The farm remains a place of growth, routine, and life, even as it functions as a strategic node of protection. This duality underscores that strength is sustainable when embedded within ordinary structures rather than imposed externally, demonstrating that vigilance can coexist with calm and that readiness can be achieved without chaos or spectacle. Moreover, Eden's simultaneous commitment to cultivation and defense reflects a long-term view of responsibility. He attends to crops and directs protective measures with equal care, emphasizing that survival and growth are interdependent. Each act of tending or directing contributes to a larger system in which life is sustained and threats are mitigated without compromising the continuity of routine. His balanced approach ensures that both the immediate and long-term needs of the farm and its inhabitants are met, reinforcing the principle that effective defense operates harmoniously with ongoing life rather than in opposition to it. The animals' disciplined execution of their assigned roles further illustrates Eden's mastery of subtle coordination. They act precisely as instructed, translating his strategic vision into practical outcomes without drawing attention or creating unnecessary disruption. This efficiency demonstrates that power is most effective when exercised indirectly, through systems of trust and preparedness, rather than through overt confrontation or dramatic intervention. Eden's influence extends beyond direct action. It is embedded in the structure, training, and shared values that allow his network to function autonomously yet cohesively. Finally, Eden's model of leadership and guardianship conveys an enduring lesson about balance, foresight, and humility. He harmonizes ordinary life with extraordinary readiness, weaving protection into the rhythm of daily existence without undermining morale or identity. By entrusting duties to disciplined companions, maintaining the appearance of normalcy, and acting with precise timing, he demonstrates that true strength arises from preparation, trust, and strategic subtlety. The farm, ordinary in appearance yet extraordinary in function, becomes a testament to the principle that vigilance need not disrupt life and that leadership is most effective when exercised through clarity, balance, and integration rather than spectacle. Eden remains whole, a caretaker and protector simultaneously, exemplifying how composure, wisdom, and foresight can transform routine into resilient defense. Eden's approach in issuing these instructions illustrates a form of leadership rooted in precision and subtlety rather than spectacle. He demonstrates that command does not require dramatics or overt assertion of authority. Instead, it is communicated through clarity, timing, and trust. Each directive is purposeful, integrated seamlessly into the rhythm of daily life, ensuring that action is executed efficiently without disrupting the calm that Eden has cultivated on the farm. The animal's response reflects their alignment with his expectations, moving into coordinated action that simultaneously maintains order and addresses the emerging threat. Their obedience is neither forced nor performative. It is grounded in mutual understanding and consistent training, showing that readiness can be achieved through respect and habitual discipline rather than fear or coercion. By allowing the farm to retain its ordinary appearance while his companions carry out defense, Eden preserves the perception of normalcy, subtly undermining the psychological advantage that danger often seeks to exploit. The contrast between outward calm and underlying preparedness highlights Eden's mastery of restraint, revealing that true protection often operates invisibly yet decisively. Eden's actions emphasize that reassurance and authority are most effective when coupled with authenticity. He does not offer empty promises or underestimate the gravity of the threat. Rather, he acknowledges danger while maintaining perspective. His ability to act decisively without theatrics demonstrates an understanding that panic or exaggerated displays of power can weaken defenses and erode morale. By fostering an environment in which calmness and readiness coexist, Eden ensures that both human and magical allies function at their highest potential. The farm's surface tranquility masks the strategic orchestration taking place beneath, illustrating how effective leadership can blend ordinary life with extraordinary purpose. This layered approach reflects a sophisticated philosophy. Preparedness is not just about reactive power, but about sustaining a structure in which threats can be met efficiently while daily routines and responsibilities remain intact. The subtle addition of a reward for the animals introduces another dimension to Eden's leadership. The promise of an extra snack for timely action is small, almost incidental, yet it conveys a profound understanding of motivation and trust. Eden recognizes that cooperation is strengthened not only by authority but also by acknowledgement of effort and the provision of manageable incentives. This gesture underscores his respect for the creature's contributions, framing urgency within a context of encouragement rather than coercion. It reinforces that discipline and morale are not mutually exclusive. By integrating a practical reward, Eden fosters willingness without undermining accountability. The act is grounded in familiarity and routine, consistent with the rhythm of farm life, demonstrating that even in moments of crisis, leadership can retain warmth and relational awareness. This interplay of responsibility and encouragement further reinforces Eden's consistent character. He balances reassurance with action, authority with fairness, and calm with vigilance. His command of the magical companions ensures that the threat is addressed without unnecessary escalation, while his attention to motivation maintains the cohesion and morale necessary for sustained effectiveness. Eden's strategy reveals an appreciation for subtlety in both communication and implementation. Leadership does not always manifest as force, but often through careful orchestration of existing resources and relationships. The animal's seamless execution confirms that such preparation, when combined with trust and relational awareness, can create a defense network that is both reliable and adaptable. By structuring defense within the ordinary life of the farm, Eden achieves a dual purpose. He protects against immediate threats while preserving the continuity and identity of his environment. The crops continue to grow, routines proceed undisturbed, and the outward appearance of calm conceals a coordinated response. This duality exemplifies Eden's philosophy that effective guardianship does not necessitate disruption or spectacle. Rather, it can be embedded into the fabric of everyday life. The animal's disciplined engagement transforms routine spaces into strategic assets, illustrating that preparation and vigilance can coexist with normalcy, sustaining both the physical and psychological integrity of the domain. Eden's use of timing and restraint in mobilizing his companions further demonstrates his mastery of measured leadership. He acts neither prematurely nor hastily. Action is undertaken precisely when required, ensuring resources are optimized and focus is maintained. This reflects an understanding that overreaction or impulsive responses can be as detrimental as inaction. Each movement of the magical companions is deliberate, translating strategic intent into practical effect without drawing undue attention or creating unnecessary disorder. The farm remains a farm, yet it functions as an active defensive position, exemplifying the principle that resilience often resides in preparation, alignment, and discipline rather than in overt displays of power. The combination of reassurance, restraint, and practical incentive highlights Eden's holistic understanding of leadership and protection. He integrates multiple elements, strategy, motivation, timing, and relational trust, into a cohesive approach that addresses threat, sustains morale, and preserves normalcy. His calm authority communicates competence and stability, fostering confidence among allies while denying fear any leverage. By maintaining the ordinary environment while activating an extraordinary response, Eden demonstrates that effective defense is not solely about confronting danger directly, but about creating a structure within which threats can be met efficiently and effectively. Eden's leadership exemplifies the balance between vigilance and daily life. The farm's ongoing routines, combined with the animal's disciplined execution, reflect a philosophy in which preparation is continuous, subtle, and integrated. The reward offered to the animals encapsulates his understanding that motivation, trust, and encouragement enhance efficiency without compromising discipline. Each action reinforces the others. Calm ensures clarity, preparation ensures readiness, and relational understanding ensures cooperation. Through this integrated approach, Eden models a form of guardianship that is both humane and strategically sound, showing that authority and protection can coexist with ordinary life. Ultimately, the scene underscores Eden's mastery of quiet power and deliberate action. His guidance of the magical companions, framed within the everyday rhythms of farm life, reflects a leadership style that is subtle yet decisive, relational yet disciplined, calm yet proactive. The balance of responsibility, reassurance, and reward ensures that threats are countered effectively while preserving the farm's identity and continuity. Through careful orchestration, Eden transforms ordinary circumstances into a resilient defense, demonstrating that true strength lies in preparation, relational trust, and the ability to integrate extraordinary readiness seamlessly into the fabric of daily life. Eden's approach demonstrates a seamless integration of extraordinary responsibilities into the framework of everyday life. By addressing his magical companions with consideration for their needs, he reinforces that duty and care are not mutually exclusive. The extra snack is more than a simple treat, it symbolizes acknowledgement and respect, turning obedience into collaboration rather than subjugation. This gesture situates the companions' mission within a context they understand, linking supernatural action with familiar rhythms of farm life. It conveys that even amid confrontation with evil, the fundamentals of care, attention, and routine retain their importance. The act of rewarding effort strengthens relational bonds, ensuring that the companions' motivation is rooted in mutual trust and recognition rather than mere obligation. Such an approach transforms potentially daunting tasks into manageable responsibilities, reinforcing harmony between leadership, expectation, and cooperative action. The subtlety of this incentive also exemplifies Eden's mastery of measured communication. He conveys urgency without panic, relying on an implicit understanding rather than dramatics. The promise functions as a tool for prioritization. It signals the importance of swift, effective action without invoking fear or pressure. This method presupposes competence and judgment, trusting that the companions can discern the critical nature of the threat and act accordingly. By framing the task within familiar structures and offering tangible encouragement, Eden ensures that efficiency is achieved while morale remains high. His leadership is therefore relational as much as strategic. It accounts for the psychology of those under his guidance, recognizing that motivation and compliance are strongest when combined with respect and consideration. This dynamic also reflects Eden's broader philosophy of preparedness. Threats are acknowledged, yet they are managed within systems already established, rather than treated as emergencies requiring ad hoc solutions. The farm's ordinary routines continue alongside the extraordinary response, demonstrating that vigilance and normalcy can coexist. The magical companions embody this principle, moving through their duties with purpose while maintaining a connection to the environment they inhabit. Eden's guidance ensures that each action is measured, deliberate, and contextually appropriate, preserving both operational effectiveness and the continuity of daily life. Through this integration, he exemplifies how leadership can extend beyond direct commands into the cultivation of habits, trust, and shared responsibility. Moreover, the interplay between incentive and duty underscores Eden's understanding of timing and priorities. The extra snack serves not merely as a reward but as a temporal marker, indicating the necessity of prompt action without overtly demanding it. By embedding urgency within a familiar and positive framework, he channels energy toward efficient completion of the task while avoiding panic or distraction. This approach highlights his skill in balancing immediate response with long-term strategy, ensuring that resources, both magical and relational, are deployed optimally. The companions are encouraged to act decisively, yet within a structure that reinforces discipline, mutual respect, and awareness of broader objectives. Eden's leadership ensures that readiness does not disrupt equilibrium, it enhances it. The situation also emphasizes the importance of relational intelligence in leadership. Eden does not rely solely on authority, he engages the companions, understanding, judgment, and willingness to act. The reward acknowledges effort, fosters initiative, and validates their role as active participants rather than passive instruments. By doing so, Eden creates a shared sense of responsibility, where each member of his network feels invested in the outcome. This shared investment strengthens cohesion and operational reliability, ensuring that when challenges arise, the response is coordinated, timely, and resilient. Eden's guidance is therefore as much about shaping attitudes and expectations as it is about directing actions, highlighting the integration of strategic foresight with interpersonal insight. Furthermore, Eden's handling of the magical companions illustrates his ability to reconcile contrasting elements: extraordinary capability with ordinary needs, urgent response with calm execution, responsibility with encouragement. The reward situates high-stakes action within a familiar and humane context, reinforcing that leadership is not about imposing fear but cultivating engagement. By framing the confrontation with evil as both critical and achievable, Eden ensures that the companions act with purpose and precision. Their obedience is thus informed by comprehension, trust, and motivation, resulting in a response that is both effective and sustainable. This nuanced approach reveals a layered understanding of power. True strength resides not only in ability but also in the capacity to guide, inspire, and coordinate efficiently. The scene further reinforces Eden's philosophy that preparedness extends beyond mere capability. Effective response requires anticipation, structure, and relational bonds. By nurturing trust, offering tangible reinforcement, and preserving routine, Eden creates a resilient system capable of addressing danger without succumbing to chaos. The magical companions, acting under his guidance, exemplify this principle. Their actions are disciplined, swift, and purposeful, yet seamlessly integrated into the rhythms of the farm. Eden's method demonstrates that leadership is most potent when it transforms ordinary elements into coordinated instruments of defense, ensuring that both mission and environment are preserved. Finally, this moment encapsulates the integration of leadership, care, and strategic foresight. Eden's decision to provide a modest reward enhances motivation while reinforcing structure, ensuring that urgency is recognized and acted upon without disruption or panic. The magical companions operate with clarity and dedication, embodying the principles of trust, preparation, and relational intelligence. Through this balance, Eden maintains the continuity of farm life while activating a covert but effective defense, demonstrating that true guardianship is achieved not through force or spectacle, but through the careful orchestration of environment, relationships, and incentive. The act of promising an extra snack, though simple, reveals the depth of Eden's understanding. Even in extraordinary circumstances, empathy, trust, and subtle motivation are integral to ensuring coordinated, efficient, and resilient action. Eden's decision to offer a modest reward reveals a deep understanding of leadership rooted in consistency and trust. The extra snack is intentionally small, practical, and within his control, reflecting a leadership style that balances authority with familiarity. It is not a gesture born of coercion or desperation, nor does it attempt to manipulate loyalty through grand promises. Instead, it reinforces the ongoing relationship between Eden and his magical companions, where obedience is guided by mutual respect and understanding. The reward mirrors the steady, dependable care he provides daily, signaling that his instructions are reliable and his expectations reasonable. The companions' trust in him stems from this alignment between word and action, just as they have come to recognize that his calm presence conveys attentiveness rather than indifference. Through this small yet deliberate act, Eden integrates reinforcement into the fabric of everyday life, ensuring that motivation is rooted in familiarity and relational continuity rather than fear or urgency alone. This gesture also communicates resilience in the face of threat. By incorporating a minor incentive, Eden actively shapes the emotional tone of the moment, preventing the situation from becoming dominated by anxiety or dread. The promise of a simple reward injects an element of normalcy, softening the gravity of the task without undermining its seriousness. It is a subtle assertion that life, even amid confrontation with evil, continues according to established rhythms of care and responsibility. Eden's approach illustrates that leadership is not solely measured by action or command but by the ability to preserve balance and maintain morale. The companions respond not out of fear, but because the environment itself, guided by Eden's principles, fosters cooperation, attentiveness, and focus. The farm, in this sense, becomes a microcosm of stability, a place where routine, nurture, and vigilance coexist seamlessly, demonstrating that preparedness does not require abandoning the ordinary. The choice of reward also reflects an understanding of motivation that prioritizes intrinsic engagement alongside practical incentives. Eden does not need to shout, threaten, or dramatize the task. He relies on a shared understanding and the companions' commitment to their roles. The snack serves as a gentle reinforcement, emphasizing that completing the task efficiently has tangible, immediate benefits while still respecting the companions as autonomous agents capable of judgment. This approach cultivates initiative and responsibility, ensuring that their actions are deliberate, purposeful, and internally motivated. By framing urgency within familiar and positive terms, Eden encourages timely action without inducing panic, highlighting the sophistication of his leadership style. He orchestrates response and attention while maintaining emotional equilibrium, ensuring that readiness is achieved with minimal disruption to the broader environment and the farm's calm atmosphere. Moreover, Eden's reward strategy integrates seamlessly with his broader philosophy of guardianship. He demonstrates that effective protection is not achieved through fear or spectacle but through measured guidance and reinforcement of predictable, positive patterns. The magical companions act with precision because their training, trust, and motivation have been cultivated over time, reflecting Eden's long-term investment in their development. The modest reward functions as a final layer of support, reinforcing alignment, commitment, and attentiveness. By doing so, Eden converts potentially stressful or high-stakes situations into exercises of coordinated, cooperative action where both efficiency and morale are preserved. The companions' willingness to act stems not merely from obligation but from understanding their role, trust in Eden's leadership, and recognition that their efforts are acknowledged and valued. This interaction also underscores Eden's skill in balancing ordinary life with extraordinary responsibility. While his companions are tasked with confronting evil, the actions remain grounded within the farm's everyday operations. Crops are still tended, routines continue, and care remains central to the environment. The reward exemplifies how extraordinary duties can coexist with mundane rhythms, ensuring that the pressures of confrontation do not overwhelm the system or its inhabitants. Eden's leadership, therefore, operates on multiple levels: strategic, relational, and emotional. He demonstrates that effective guardianship is both tactical and human, integrating the management of threat with the maintenance of routine and morale. The small, achievable reward illustrates how motivation can be woven into ongoing life without disrupting the overall balance, creating a framework in which action, care, and trust coexist naturally. Furthermore, Eden's approach demonstrates the psychological sophistication required in leadership under threat. He recognizes that overt displays of urgency or authority can exacerbate fear, while subtle reinforcement preserves focus and composure. The snack functions as both recognition and incentive, affirming the companion's role in reinforcing the expectation of swift action. By relying on a gesture of care rather than alarm, Eden channels attention and energy efficiently, transforming the task from a source of anxiety into an opportunity for constructive engagement. This technique ensures that the companion's actions are deliberate, effective, and coordinated, while emotional equilibrium remains intact. The calm atmosphere of the farm, maintained even amid mobilization, underscores the success of Eden's method. It allows for preparedness without panic, action without chaos, and authority without coercion. Ultimately, Eden's choice reflects a philosophy in which leadership, trust, and practical care are inseparable. The modest reward exemplifies a nuanced understanding of motivation, that individuals respond best when action is framed within familiar, manageable, and respectful terms. His magical companions act with purpose and discipline, guided by trust and reinforced by recognition. The farm retains its sense of normalcy even as it functions as a site of active defense, illustrating Eden's ability to blend routine with vigilance seamlessly. Through this moment, Eden demonstrates that preparedness, authority, and encouragement can coexist without conflict, reinforcing both effectiveness and morale. The extra snack, small and attainable, symbolizes the alignment of leadership with consistency, relational intelligence, and the preservation of balance, showing that even in extraordinary circumstances, care and human understanding are critical to sustaining action and resilience. Eden demonstrates a sophisticated approach to leadership and motivation by promising his companions a small reward for completing their task efficiently. The extra snack, modest and familiar, is not a spur-of-the-moment gesture but part of an established dynamic that reinforces trust and predictable patterns of behavior. His companions respond with quiet confidence, reflecting their familiarity with his methods and their understanding that obedience and effort are acknowledged without coercion. By framing the task with a positive incentive rather than threats or punishment, Eden respects their autonomy and emphasizes collaboration over control. The promise sustains morale, reminding them that even routine actions in the face of danger are seen and valued, ensuring ongoing readiness without fatigue. This interaction highlights the hidden strength within ordinary structures. The companions appear as simple farm animals, and the reward seems mundane, yet both serve a strategic purpose in maintaining defense while preserving the farm's peaceful exterior. Eden's tone is calm and steady, balancing seriousness with encouragement. The timing of the promise, after instructions, reinforces clarity, ensuring priorities are understood before motivation is added. This method keeps focus on the mission, providing concrete, immediate reinforcement that prevents the task from feeling overwhelming. Through this subtle exchange, Eden preserves the rhythms of everyday life even amid danger. He integrates protection with care, demonstrating that leadership, discipline, and urgency can coexist with trust, familiarity, and attention to well-being. The farm remains orderly, the companions motivated, and the threat addressed efficiently, illustrating that calm, thoughtful leadership can achieve readiness. Without fear or coercion, the presence of the phoenix complements the hellhound's relentless advance, adding both awe and strategic depth to the defense. Its wings unfold with calm majesty, radiating controlled energy rather than flamboyant display. The phoenix does not rely on spectacle to assert dominance, every motion is purposeful, demonstrating mastery over both space and timing. Its arrival instantly disrupts the Dural army's cohesion, scattering their ranks and preventing them from regrouping. Together, the Hellhound and Phoenix operate in synchrony, a seamless combination of force and precision that underscores Eden's foresight in preparing such capable guardians. The enemy's numerical advantage is rendered meaningless against the disciplined and coordinated response of these magical protectors. This encounter emphasizes the calculated nature of Eden's defensive strategy. He has created a layered system in which each element, his companions, the environment, and his prior preparations, works in harmony. The Hellhound embodies intimidation and immediate control, while the Phoenix introduces mobility, perception, and reach. The Dural army's aggression is met not with panic or chaos, but with a structured response that neutralizes danger before it can escalate. The battlefield becomes a testament to Eden's meticulous planning. The ordinary farm setting is transformed into a zone of strategic dominance, where even an experienced invading force finds itself powerless against carefully orchestrated defense. The swiftness of the resolution further illustrates the Guardian's mastery. The Hellhound and Phoenix do not linger to prolong the conflict or inflict unnecessary harm. Their actions are precise, eliminating only what is required to secure the area. This efficiency conveys that true power is measured not by destruction but by control and restraint. The Dural soldier's inability to respond effectively highlights the asymmetry of force, showing that preparation, discipline, and strategic positioning outweigh sheer numbers. The magical companions act not from rage but from understanding of their roles and the urgency of the situation, embodying Eden's philosophy that calm, deliberate action achieves more than frantic aggression. The Hellhound's advance, marked by relentless focus, leaves little room for hesitation among the Dural forces. Each step is intentional, each movement calculated to destabilize the enemy while maintaining order within its own momentum. There is no dramatization, no display for effect, its power is inherent and functional. Meanwhile, the Phoenix's aerial command ensures that no flank goes unmonitored, its presence asserting dominance over the field and reinforcing the impression that Eden's guardians are not mere animals but extensions of his strategic mind. This coordination reflects the careful training and mutual understanding between Eden and his companions, where trust and communication are unspoken yet absolute. The efficiency of their confrontation also conveys a deeper theme of Eden's leadership style: authority exercised without showmanship, control achieved through preparation rather than improvisation. He relies on competence and discipline rather than theatrics, demonstrating that true guardianship does not need to be loud to be effective. The Dural army is overwhelmed not because of raw power alone, but because Eden has anticipated every weakness and positioned his allies to exploit it with precision. His calm demeanor and strategic foresight are mirrored in the actions of his magical companions, creating a unified front that embodies both protection and order. The battlefield itself becomes a reflection of Eden's philosophy. What appears to be a tranquil farm transforms seamlessly into a domain of controlled power. There is no chaos despite the threat, instead, there is clarity, structure, and decisive execution. The Guardians operate within this framework, executing their tasks with minimal disruption to the environment while maximizing impact on the invading force. This interplay between ordinary and extraordinary reinforces Eden's ability to embed resilience within familiar surroundings, ensuring that defense remains integrated into daily life rather than isolated or reactive. The Hellhound and Phoenix also convey an ethical dimension to Eden's approach. Their actions are effective yet measured, emphasizing neutralization over indiscriminate destruction. This restraint demonstrates that Eden's guardians are extensions of his own judgment and moral compass. By confronting the Dural army decisively but without excess, they exemplify the principle that strength must be wielded responsibly. Each act reinforces the idea that protection can be achieved without sacrificing the values that define Eden's life and the community he safeguards. The impact on the Dural army underscores the psychological dimension of Eden's defense. Their shock and disarray reveal that threat management is not merely physical, it is also mental and strategic. By presenting resistance that is disciplined, coordinated, and seemingly effortless, the Guardians impose a sense of inevitability upon the attackers. The Dural soldiers' confidence is undermined not through intimidation alone, but through the clear demonstration that their numbers and aggression are irrelevant against a prepared and unified defense. This effect magnifies the Guardians' influence far beyond their immediate actions, turning the encounter into a lesson in the efficacy of preparation, cohesion, and calm execution. Throughout the confrontation, Eden's influence remains central yet subtle. He does not need to appear on the battlefield to direct outcomes. His earlier preparations, training, and command over his companions ensure that events unfold according to his strategic vision. This indirect control highlights his mastery of leadership and foresight, showing that true guidance often manifests through structure and readiness rather than visible intervention. The Hellhound and Phoenix act with initiative within the boundaries Eden has set, embodying his trust in their judgment and the principles he has instilled. In conclusion, the swift and controlled engagement of the Hellhound and Phoenix against the Dural army exemplifies Eden's philosophy of leadership, defense, and preparation. The confrontation is decisive yet restrained, illustrating that true power combines authority with discipline, strategy with efficiency, and protection with responsibility. The farm, seemingly ordinary, becomes an arena of mastery and order, reflecting the deep integration of defense into Eden's everyday life. The Guardians' actions, precise and deliberate, convey the effectiveness of planning, the importance of trust, and the superiority of calm, measured response over chaos. In every movement, they manifest the principles Eden embodies: vigilance within normalcy, power without ostentation, and unwavering commitment to safeguarding what matters most. The Hellhound and Phoenix respond to the Dural army's invasion with striking precision, swiftly neutralizing the threat without unnecessary chaos or spectacle. The Hellhound advances methodically, its authority and discipline breaking enemy formations instantly, while the Phoenix dominates the skies, controlling the battlefield from above and rendering opposition ineffective. Their actions reveal the vast disparity between the Dural army's intentions and their actual capability, highlighting that Eden's calm was based on awareness of the Guardians already in place. The encounter is brief but decisive, emphasizing efficiency and competence rather than drawn-out conflict. The companions act to restore balance, not to inflict undue harm, reflecting Eden's philosophy of protective strength rather than aggression. Their flawless coordination demonstrates trust built over time, allowing swift action without oversight or confusion. The Dural army is defeated completely, yet the narrative remains restrained, focusing on the result rather than suffering, underscoring that true power operates quietly and effectively. The farm, its routines, and its calm persist, showing that Eden's layered defense maintains stability without disruption. The invasion's resolution validates Eden's earlier confidence, proving that preparation, trust, and measured response neutralize danger before it can escalate. The encounter with the Dural army illustrates the stark contrast between aggression and controlled strength, emphasizing the difference between force wielded recklessly and power exercised with balance. The invading soldiers arrive with numbers and intent, confident in their ability to impose their will, yet they immediately encounter resistance rooted not in spectacle but in preparation. Eden's companions, the Hellhound and the Phoenix, respond with precision and composure, their actions revealing the careful orchestration of a system designed to protect without excess. The Hellhound advances methodically, its authority undeniable yet not cruel, dispersing the attackers efficiently, while the Phoenix dominates the skies with unmatched clarity and resolve, ensuring that opposition is neutralized both on the ground and from above. This coordination highlights the disparity between perceived threat and actual danger, demonstrating that Eden's earlier calm was not a denial of reality but a measured confidence in the defenses already in place. The battle itself is swift, its brevity underscoring the decisiveness of Eden's guardians. There is no drawn-out chaos, no lingering uncertainty, only the rapid correction of a misjudgment made by those who underestimated the domain they sought to challenge. The aftermath of this confrontation reinforces the thematic focus on protection integrated into everyday life. The Dural army is removed as a threat, yet the farm remains unchanged, its routines uninterrupted and its calm preserved. This reflects Eden's philosophy that strength exists to safeguard stability rather than to dominate. The Guardians' actions are purposeful rather than aggressive, a restoration of balance rather than an assertion of superiority. By executing their roles flawlessly, the Hellhound and Phoenix demonstrate trust cultivated over time, requiring no further direction once Eden has assigned the task. The success of their mission validates Eden's leadership and foresight, confirming that preparedness, coordination, and measured response neutralize danger before it escalates. This interaction underscores the importance of subtlety and efficiency in the exercise of power, showing that true capability is often quiet, controlled, and invisible until it is required. Simultaneously, the revelation of these legendary creatures elevates the scene from tactical efficiency to awe-inspiring spectacle. The Hellhound and the Phoenix do not merely perform their function, their appearance commands recognition and reshapes perception. The gathered witnesses react with shock and disbelief, their initial murmurs of curiosity giving way to reverence as the magnitude of what unfolds becomes clear. The creatures' presence embodies a history and authority that ordinary experience cannot contain, bridging the gap between myth and reality. This moment is intensified further by the appearance of the Oracle Mentor, a figure previously considered distant or allegorical. The recognition of such a figure among the living confirms the extraordinary nature of the events and solidifies the audience's understanding of Eden's capabilities and the depth of the guardianship surrounding him. Faces that were once indifferent or mocking are transformed, registering the undeniable reality of power exercised with purpose and integrity. The crowd is swept from casual observation into a collective acknowledgement that something profoundly significant is occurring, shifting the atmosphere from mundane attention to tense reverence. Through this dual display, efficient defense and legendary revelation, the narrative underscores multiple layers of Eden's world. The Dural army's defeat affirms the competence and coordination of his guardians, while the public witnessing of the Oracle Mentor and legendary creatures magnifies the impact of their presence, illustrating that true power operates both in secrecy and in recognition. The contrast between the calm, procedural elimination of a threat and the awe-inspiring display of ancient beings reinforces the story's thematic commitment to balance. Strength is exercised to preserve, not to dominate, and the extraordinary is embedded seamlessly into the ordinary. The farm, Eden's routines, and the Guardians' steadfast readiness coexist, showing that preparation, loyalty, and thoughtful leadership can neutralize danger efficiently while maintaining the stability of the world they protect. The combination of subtle intervention and spectacular revelation ensures that Eden's authority is both practical and symbolic, grounded in action yet inspiring recognition of deeper forces at work. This encounter thus functions as both narrative resolution and thematic reinforcement, illustrating the interplay between preparedness, trust, and the awe-inspiring potency of hidden strength, leaving the audience with a clear understanding that Eden's calm, deliberate approach to leadership and defense is both effective and extraordinary. The sudden intervention of a high-level demon sharply shifts the focus of the scene, introducing immediate danger that tests not only strength but the authority of the figure recently revealed. The demon's attack is aggressive and calculated, demonstrating experience and power sufficient to intimidate ordinary cultivators, nobles, and onlookers alike. Yet, this demonstration of menace is swiftly dismantled. The Oracle Mentor neutralizes the threat with a calm precision that borders on effortless. There is no drawn-out struggle, no need for theatrics, and no room for doubt. The disparity in power is absolute. Every motion of the Mentor conveys mastery, turning what could have been a moment of terror into a showcase of unassailable competence. The demon is defeated almost before panic can take hold, and in that instant, the legends surrounding the Oracle Mentor's strength are validated beyond question. The stunned silence that follows is not merely a reaction to a display of power, but an acknowledgement that the reality of his capabilities far exceeds anything previously imagined. Observers are forced to recalibrate their understanding of the hierarchy and potential within their world, recognizing that true authority often manifests in controlled, efficient action rather than flamboyant display. Despite the overwhelming evidence of power in the public sphere, a contrasting ignorance persists within the heart of the capital. Nobles, officials, and even Eden's own son continue to operate under assumptions shaped by appearance, tradition, and social expectation. They fail to recognize the figure at the center of these events as the Oracle Mentor, remaining trapped in an outdated narrative defined by lineage and perceived status rather than actual competence or insight. This dissonance introduces a layer of dramatic irony. The audience and a select few witnesses understand the truth, while much of the social elite remains blind to it. Their interactions, tinged with polite mockery, subtle condescension, and misplaced confidence, underscore the absurdity of societal hierarchies that prioritize reputation over reality. Every gesture of assumed superiority, every whispered judgment, is rendered hollow when juxtaposed with the undeniable demonstration of power they have yet to fully perceive. The ignorance of these figures is not born of malice alone but is reinforced by centuries of social conditioning, in which respect is granted based on titles and appearances rather than merit or capability. This juxtaposition between observable strength and widespread misunderstanding serves to heighten the narrative tension. While the demon's attack underscores the Mentor's unrivaled authority, the ongoing misperceptions of those in the capital emphasize the precariousness of perception and reputation. They reveal how easily society can overlook substance in favor of form, and how authority exercised quietly or without immediate recognition can be underestimated by those not present. The nobles, arrogance, and Eden's son's unawareness are not just narrative devices, they provide insight into the social fabric and the vulnerabilities inherent in a hierarchy that rewards display over action. These contrasts also highlight Eden's strategic advantage. His true power operates independently of recognition, allowing him to command respect and influence in ways that are invisible to those preoccupied with superficial markers of status. The tension between reality and perception thus reinforces a central theme. True authority is confirmed by results and competence, not by ceremony or social expectation. Furthermore, the swift and decisive neutralization of the demon exemplifies Eden's philosophy of action rooted in efficiency rather than spectacle. He does not engage in unnecessary conflict, prolong confrontation, or display aggression for effect. The execution is precise, focused solely on resolution and maintaining balance. This approach distinguishes him from others who might rely on brute force, showmanship, or intimidation to assert control. By acting decisively and calmly, he reinforces the concept that power is most effective when measured and disciplined, and that fear or awe can be induced without chaos or destruction. The calm that follows the confrontation serves not only as a reflection of his mastery but also as a method of reinforcing stability in an otherwise unpredictable environment. Observers who understand the events recognize this as deliberate and strategic, appreciating that Eden's control extends beyond immediate combat to encompass psychological influence and the maintenance of order. At the same time, the disconnect between the knowledge of those witnessing the Mentor's capabilities and the assumptions held by the wider nobility highlights the limitations of perception governed by status. The nobles, reliance on hierarchy and superficial judgment blinds them to reality, producing a situation where those with true insight, the select few who recognize Eden, stand in stark contrast to those who continue to operate in ignorance. This contrast adds depth to the narrative, emphasizing the irony of social pretension and the fragility of perceived authority when confronted with undeniable competence. The nobles' arrogance, once meant to reinforce their superiority, becomes an unintentional commentary on their own blindness. Their failure to perceive Eden's true identity underscores how society often misaligns respect and recognition with capability, demonstrating the danger of conflating position with power. The layered nature of this moment also reflects the broader thematic interplay of perception, authority, and preparedness. The mentor's demonstration neutralizes immediate threat while simultaneously revealing the limitations of traditional social assumptions. Eden's calm response and the absolute decisiveness of the encounter exemplify the contrast between visible action and underlying competence, showing that true mastery is not always immediately recognized or understood. By juxtaposing the overwhelming power displayed with the continuing ignorance of those in the capital, the scene emphasizes both the inevitability of correct action and the persistence of misjudgment in structured hierarchies. This dynamic creates dramatic tension and allows for rich narrative commentary on the divergence between reality and perception, demonstrating that authority is validated not by who believes in it but by the outcomes it produces. Ultimately, this moment cements Eden's reputation as a figure whose authority is absolute yet subtle, whose actions are deliberate, and whose presence commands respect even without widespread recognition. The demon's swift defeat validates every whispered legend about the Oracle Mentor, while the ongoing misperceptions of the capital's elite underscore the social irony of power unrecognized by those who judge solely by convention. The contrast between visible demonstration and unseen mastery enhances the story's thematic focus on measured strength, preparedness, and the persistence of truth amid misperception. Eden's composure, efficiency, and decisive action illustrate that true authority does not require affirmation from society to be real, it exists and operates effectively regardless of acknowledgement. The crowd's stunned silence and the nobles' ignorance collectively serve to highlight the enduring tension between reality and assumption, reinforcing the narrative's meditation on the nature of power, reputation, and perception. Eden's son finds himself navigating the capital under a cloud of misconceptions, his every interaction tinged with quiet tension. He moves with restraint and careful observation, aware that challenging the nobles' assumptions directly would accomplish little. Their judgments, often laced with polite condescension or subtle mockery, are completely detached from reality, yet he endures them with a measured composure that highlights his experience in handling misunderstanding. Each sideways glance, each offhand remark from the elite, underscores the contrast between appearance and truth, creating moments that are simultaneously awkward and subtly humorous. The irony arises not from exaggeration, but from precision. The nobles' confidence in their misjudgments only magnifies the eventual recognition of their errors. The narrative allows these misconceptions to linger, reinforcing the principle that true authority requires no constant validation, it exists independent of acknowledgement. Meanwhile, the return of the Oracle Mentor casts a long, unspoken shadow over these dynamics. Even when absent, the implications of his reemergence reshape the balance of power, rendering the nobles' assumptions increasingly tenuous. Their ignorance and reliance on superficial markers of status reveal vulnerabilities in judgment and a dependence on appearances rather than substance. In contrast, Eden's calm demeanor and his son's measured responses exemplify wisdom and patience, silently critiquing the shallow certainty of the elite. The humor and tension of these interactions emerge naturally from character rather than circumstance. The nobles behave as their upbringing dictates, while Eden and his son respond consistently with experience and insight. This alignment of behavior and consequence creates irony that is both believable and meaningful, illustrating how perception can mislead even the confident and how quiet understanding can wield power more effectively than overt confrontation. The unfolding events demonstrate a careful interplay between spectacle and subtlety, blending extraordinary displays of power with grounded social dynamics. When the legendary creatures appear, their presence is instantly commanding, their form and movement undeniable. The Hellhound and the Phoenix embody controlled authority, their actions decisive and efficient, leaving no room for doubt about the imbalance of power between them and the invading forces or the high-level demon. This clarity establishes the scope of the Oracle Mentor's influence, confirming that his return is not merely symbolic but practical, immediate, and transformative. Observers are struck by the effortless way threats are neutralized, the Dural army is dismantled and the demons subdued with minimal motion, minimal noise, and no dramatic flourish. Each action reinforces the idea that true mastery does not require ostentation. It is visible in the outcome rather than the spectacle, and the narrative emphasizes competence over chaos, decisively marking the mentor and his companions as forces beyond ordinary calculation. At the same time, the story juxtaposes this awe-inspiring demonstration with scenes of quiet human misjudgment within the capital. Nobles and even Eden's son remain unaware of the full reality, clinging to outdated impressions, social hierarchies, and superficial markers of status. Their interactions, laced with polite condescension and subtle mockery, underscore the persistent gap between perception and truth. Each assumption they make, each whispered judgment, is steeped in irony when contrasted with the overwhelming evidence of real power elsewhere. Eden's son navigates these moments with patience and restraint, his silence and measured responses conveying both wisdom and endurance. The humor and tension of these situations arise naturally from character, as the nobles behave according to ingrained habits and expectations, oblivious to the forces they cannot perceive. This contrast between the extraordinary and the ordinary highlights a central theme: authority and influence are not always recognized by those who focus solely on appearances. True power, in its quiet confidence, often goes unnoticed until revealed by action. The narrative further explores the strategic use of restraint and timing. The Oracle mentor's message to the realm is delivered without pride or ostentation, reinforcing his enduring philosophy: protection is not dependent on a single figure, and mages must cultivate self-reliance and discipline. His words carry quiet authority, emphasizing responsibility and diligence over reliance on legend. The simplicity of the message amplifies its impact. It communicates power without arrogance, reminding observers that preparedness and capability are cultivated, not inherited. This approach reflects the same balance evident in Eden's leadership with his companions. Action is measured, guidance is clear, and motivation is grounded in understanding rather than fear. Just as the farm operates normally while defended by extraordinary guardians, the kingdom's magic and defense rely on systems and individuals prepared to act without unnecessary spectacle. By allowing the capital's misunderstandings to persist alongside the dramatic interventions of the mentor and his companions, the story underscores the fragility of assumptions and the consequences of misjudgment. Nobles who rely on titles, status, or appearances find their confidence undermined when faced with undeniable truth, creating a subtle tension that enriches the narrative. The humor and irony embedded in these scenes are not forced, they emerge from authentic character dynamics, producing a layered commentary on perception, judgment, and authority. The audience observes both extremes: the clear, commanding authority of legendary figures and the oblivious, constrained behavior of those still bound by social conventions. This duality reinforces the notion that real power can operate quietly and effectively, while human pride and superficiality often obstruct understanding. Simultaneously, the events surrounding Eden and his son reflect continuity of character and consistency in leadership. Eden's calm, methodical management of his magical companions mirrors the mentor's approach on a larger scale. Readiness and protection are achieved without hysteria, while rewards, encouragement, and trust are employed to maintain morale and ensure efficiency. Every action, from the subtle gestures on the farm to the dramatic suppression of the Dural army and the high-level demon, reinforces the theme that true authority integrates action with care, decisiveness with calm, and extraordinary capacity with ordinary responsibility. These moments illustrate that power, when combined with insight and discipline, operates seamlessly within daily life, achieving objectives without undermining social or psychological stability. The convergence of awe, irony, and social observation creates a narrative balance that strengthens the story's thematic resonance. The shock of witnessing legendary creatures is tempered by the mundane, often comical misunderstandings of those unaware of their significance. The effortless defeat of formidable threats contrasts sharply with the nobles' misguided confidence, emphasizing that capability does not need external validation to exist. The mentor's calm, authoritative communication, coupled with Eden's measured leadership, demonstrates that guidance and influence are most potent when exercised with quiet confidence and respect for those under one's care. Ultimately, the interplay between extraordinary events and ordinary perception serves to deepen the audience's understanding of power, preparation, and human nature. The appearance of the mentor and his companions confirms that formidable forces operate behind the scenes, while the nobles' obliviousness illustrates the limits of perception when guided by status rather than substance. Eden's son embodies the bridge between these worlds, navigating social constraints with patience and awareness, highlighting the contrast between appearance and reality. By allowing awe, irony, and reflection to coexist, the narrative constructs a layered examination of authority, demonstrating that the greatest divides often arise not from strength itself but from failure to perceive it. The revelations are foreshadowed through careful pacing, ensuring that when truth emerges, it feels both inevitable and deserved, reinforcing the story's focus on preparedness, discernment, and the enduring impact of quiet, disciplined leadership. The mentor's intervention and the capital's obliviousness together illustrate a profound thematic point. True power is measured not by spectacle alone, but by the capacity to act decisively and ethically when necessary. The contrast between public misunderstanding and private mastery enriches the narrative, showing that wisdom, authority, and responsibility are often most evident in how individuals navigate both seen and unseen challenges. As the events unfold, the balance between extraordinary displays and subtle social dynamics emphasizes that leadership and protection are ongoing, integrated efforts, sustained by clarity, trust, and foresight rather than by display or superficial recognition. Among the mages, the atmosphere shifts from cautious relief to sober recognition of looming danger. The reopening of the ancient seal is acknowledged as a fact that cannot be mitigated by hope or wishful thinking. The mages understand, unspoken yet undeniable, that the coming of the Dark Lord in his true form would overwhelm their collective power. Their training, though extensive, would be insufficient to confront him alone. The realization sharpens focus and humbles even the most confident practitioners, highlighting the gap between ambition and capability. In this tense moment, Eden's response is quiet yet resolute. He makes a vow to stand between darkness and humanity when it rises, offering protection as he always has. The simplicity and directness of his promise grant it immense weight, underscoring a leadership built on action and reliability rather than theatrical declarations. This quiet determination exemplifies the mentor's philosophy. Power is measured not by rhetoric, but by steadfast readiness to confront danger when it appears. Meanwhile, far from the Council of Mages, Duke Killian Vinewood senses an unmistakable pulse of ancient magic flowing through the land. To someone of his rank and experience, the sensation carries immediate meaning. A legendary sage has returned, and the time to seek him is now. His journey leads him to an unassuming farm, a place far removed from the fortified towers or hidden sanctuaries one might expect. The scene that greets him defies all assumptions. Legendary creatures roam freely as though they were ordinary livestock, and divine herbs flourish casually in the soil as if part of a typical garden. Objects and beings that should be treated as priceless treasures are integrated seamlessly into everyday life, challenging the Duke's notions of hierarchy, value, and power. What should inspire awe instead feels natural, almost mundane, yet every detail signals extraordinary mastery hidden in plain sight. When Killian introduces himself with expectations of formal obeisance, Eden dismisses it effortlessly, speaking with the calm assurance of someone who recognizes the futility of rigid protocol. The casual mention that he once taught the High Priestess Isabella shocks the Duke more profoundly than the creatures or divine flora. Here lies an individual whose authority transcends social rank, whose power is understood by reputation yet conveyed without intimidation or ceremony. The casual familiarity with Isabella, a figure of high esteem and spiritual authority, acts as subtle evidence of Eden's unparalleled standing. Finally, Eden presents Killian with a piece of divine fruit, a rarity beyond most nobles' experience. The gesture is understated but deliberate, offering tangible proof of his mastery and deep understanding of both mundane and arcane realms. In that instant, the Duke realizes that Eden's unassuming appearance conceals a figure of immense significance, someone whose identity bridges legend and reality. The encounter illustrates the contrast between perception and substance. While the Duke approaches expecting ostentation, he is confronted instead with composure, humility, and quiet demonstration of extraordinary capability. Eden's calm handling of the situation, his refusal to command awe, and his reliance on subtle cues rather than spectacle all reinforce the narrative theme that true power does not demand recognition, it exists independently of acknowledgement. The ease with which he integrates legendary creatures and rare magical items into daily life underscores his mastery over both the arcane and practical, blending extraordinary capacity with ordinary responsibility. Additionally, this meeting conveys lessons on authority and influence. The Duke's initial assumptions, based on rank and expected deference, crumble in the face of Eden's understated competence. Each element, the animals, the herbs, the casual mention of Isabella, and the divine fruit, serves as evidence of layered expertise and preparation, challenging the Duke's understanding of social and magical hierarchies. Eden's actions demonstrate that leadership and power are validated through outcome and behavior, not through formal recognition or displays of status. The moment bridges awe and subtle instruction, The Duke leaves with both respect and awareness, understanding that appearances can mislead and that true mastery is often hidden beneath simplicity. This scenario also highlights Eden's dual role as both guardian and teacher. By offering the divine fruit and recalling his connection to Isabella, he positions himself as a figure who imparts wisdom while simultaneously demonstrating capability. He does not need to assert dominance, his presence and actions communicate authority effortlessly. The balance of humility, quiet confidence, and strategic disclosure underscores a philosophy consistent across his character, extraordinary power integrated seamlessly into ordinary life. Through this encounter, the story contrasts human expectation with cosmic reality. The Duke's assumptions about grandeur and ostentation are overturned, illustrating that true strength often resides in restraint and subtlety rather than in spectacle. Eden's understated actions, providing food, speaking casually of a revered figure, allowing creatures and magic to appear as part of daily life, signal mastery without aggression. This measured reveal cultivates both tension and admiration, drawing the observer into a layered understanding of power. It is not the force that impresses, but the control and composure behind it. The narrative further emphasizes the theme of concealed strength and earned recognition. The Duke, like many others, must reconcile prior beliefs with evidence before understanding the full scope of Eden's identity. This mirrors earlier events, where the true abilities of magical companions or legendary figures were underestimated until demonstrated. By aligning expectation with revelation, the story reinforces that recognition of greatness is both contextual and cumulative, requiring careful observation and experience to fully appreciate. In sum, the arrival of Duke Killian Vinewood at the farm and his interaction with Eden encapsulates a layered demonstration of mastery, authority, and understated leadership. Every detail, the legendary creatures, the divine herbs, the casual references, and the divine fruit, communicates skill, restraint, and strategic wisdom. The scene juxtaposes human expectation with extraordinary reality, showing that true power integrates seamlessly into ordinary settings and that recognition comes not from ostentation but from the consistent alignment of capability, judgment, and ethical action. Eden's quiet confidence and deliberate simplicity reinforce the story's core themes, that mastery, humility, and discernment coexist, that power is validated by action rather than ceremony, and that the extraordinary can exist within the seemingly mundane, leaving those who witness it both enlightened and profoundly humbled. With careful respect replacing skepticism, Killian invites Eden to attend the royal harvest banquet, believing his presence could aid the kingdom in preparing for the Dark Lord's threat. Garrett arrives mid-conversation, frozen in mortification as he sees his father speaking casually with a high-ranking duke, unaware that a bundle of straw beside Eden conceals a legendary sword. Panic and embarrassment flood Garrett, as he rushes to apologize for what he perceives as a breach of etiquette, while Killian's nervous deference toward Eden only heightens the contrast between the perceptions of the nobles and the quiet authority Eden exudes. Attempting to salvage the situation, Garrett offers fresh fruit to the Duke, not realizing that Eden already possesses items of far greater significance. His anxiety grows into frustration, and he chastises his father for speaking freely, convinced it could lead to repercussions. Proud of his progress as a level 7 mage, Garrett insists on taking Eden to the capital for protection, but Eden calmly refuses, claiming he can handle demons alone. Dismissing this as foolish confidence, Garrett orders his men to seize his father and escort him by force. Urgent news soon redirects Garrett to ride ahead for the banquet, leaving his men behind, who apologize awkwardly to Eden for following orders. Eden smiles gently, remarking on the ineffectiveness of his disciples, conveying mild disappointment rather than anger. At the city gates, Lord Barry blocks his path, insulting him openly and insisting that a man of his appearance could not father a knight paramount. Demanding documents and a deposit, which Eden does not carry, Barry is unaware that Eden holds an old letter bearing King Leon V's seal, granting him authority over all nobles and access to the royal treasury. The guards and nearby nobles laugh, oblivious to the document's authenticity. Eden proceeds to the banquet, only to be stopped by Miss Gia, who calls him a beggar and bars his way, while Garrett receives warm recognition from other nobles inside. Upon Eden's entrance, the guests mock him, suggesting Garrett throw a few coins or leftovers. Garrett, overwhelmed by shame, tries to silence his father, but under pressure from Lord Alex, admits the man is indeed his father. Laughter and ridicule erupt as nobles struggle to reconcile their respect for Garrett with Eden's unassuming appearance. Count Roderick demands the removal of the filthy peasant, and Garrett, torn between embarrassment and concern, urges his father to leave. Eden calmly states he has an invitation, which fuels further mockery. Amid the jeers, a quiet suspicion begins to form among some nobles that the man they are belittling may possess an identity far greater than any of them expect. Based on the events so far, the story is likely to unfold with a mix of revelation, tension, and the gradual assertion of Eden's true authority. Eden has already demonstrated that his power and influence far surpass what the nobles and even his son can comprehend. The banquet scene sets the stage for both conflict and dramatic irony. While the nobles ridicule him, their ignorance contrasts sharply with the reality of his abilities and status. The next sequence will probably involve Eden subtly asserting his authority without overt violence, using intelligence, magical skill, or the legendary creatures at his command to demonstrate that he is no ordinary man. This could include quiet displays of power that leave the nobles stunned and force them to acknowledge his influence, without Eden needing to directly confront them aggressively. The contrast between appearance and reality will continue to be a central theme, highlighting how prejudice and assumptions can blind people to true capability. Garrett's character may undergo development as he begins to reconcile his embarrassment with pride in his father's strength, learning to respect and trust Eden beyond surface-level appearances. The nobles' perception of hierarchy and status will likely be challenged, creating opportunities for both humor and tension. Meanwhile, Eden's presence may attract attention from greater threats or allies, suggesting that the coming plot will intertwine political maneuvering, magical conflict, and the protection of the kingdom. Ultimately, the story seems poised to balance moments of human misunderstanding with displays of extraordinary power, reinforcing themes of hidden strength, wisdom, and the importance of looking beyond appearances. Eden's calm, measured approach will likely continue to guide events, gradually revealing his full capabilities while testing the assumptions of those around him. The story pauses at a breathtakingly tense moment, with all the secrets seemingly hanging over the characters' heads. One unexpected decision, a meaningful glance, or a wrong move could change everything. Who will keep their secrets? Who will pay the price? Complicated relationships, hidden schemes, and suppressed emotions are all waiting to be revealed in the next chapters. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the upcoming developments, where even the smallest detail could turn everything upside down.